Finally, a show for you to get everything you want, everything you need in pop culture entertainment. With the latest news and releases from comic books, toys and collectibles, games, cons and events, novels, television, and movies. It's Pop Culture Kaboom's radio show!
Hello, world. What do you think about the new intro, Rob?
I like it.
Yeah, it was hard to put together. But
I'm sorry.
I'm not. It was worthwhile, I think.
Yeah.
It turned out interesting. So, hello, world. Welcome to Pop Culture Kaboom's radio show. He is Rob Nault. He is behind the big board and also there to take your calls. And I am your not-so-humble host of all things Pop Culture Kaboom, Jimmy Jones. Tonight we will give you everything you want, everything you need from pop culture entertainment with the latest news and information from the past week and a sneak peek at releases that will be coming out soon. Pop Culture Kaboom's radio show is also your place on the radio dial for you to talk about your favorite fandoms. Tonight we'll be joined by Tony Sanfilippo of Filippo's Horrible Reviews. He'll be here to talk about the upcoming movie releases. Our special guest tonight will be the most prolific director in the world, award-winning and, dare I say, legendary Dustin Ferguson.
Yep.
We'll be talking with Dustin Ferguson about getting closer to becoming the director with the most feature-length films by a single director. I think he's, last time we talked to him, I think he was only 20 or 30 films away from having the world record for the most films by one director.
I don't know. I can't remember now.
But it was
I know it was close.
Yeah, so we'll get an update on that, and we'll be talking with him exclusively, barring any of those pesky NDAs, about his upcoming remake of the horror classic, The House on Haunted Hill. You will not want to miss this conversation. To add your thoughts, comments, talk about your favorite fandoms, and also talk to tonight's guest, call 775-515-4141. If you're, however, too shy for the phones, you can send a DM to me through the Pop Culture Boom Facebook page, which I will read and answer on the air. But if you don't want to comment during the show, but would still like to comment, you can reach us 24/7 by sending an email. Oh, speaking of, he just mentioned us in a post.
Oh, who did?
Dustin Ferguson.
Oh, really?
Yes, just now. Catch me on Pop Culture Kaboom radio show live in just 2 hours. I'll be revealing new details about House on Haunted Hill, plus our upcoming 1031 Part 4 segment. Ooh, The Witch's Curse. Ooh, details below. I got to read that. There's no details below. What are you talking about? Below what? Come on, Dustin. I'm going to give him grief about that one.
Whole thing. Director Dustin Ferguson announces reboot of House on Haunted Hill.
I know he's been getting a lot of press about it, so this is going to be a fun conversation.
Yeah.
And so, so you'll definitely want to be a part of this conversation. You can reach us by, send us an email and reach us 24/7 by sending that email with your questions, comments, or concerns to popcultureboom@gmail.com, and follow these simple but very important instructions. In the subject line, put question, comment, concern, or my fandom. In the body of the email, please add your first name. No last name is necessary, and I do not read email addresses on the air. Also include the city and state or the city and country that you live in, then fire away with what's on your mind. Bear in mind, emails are read on the air unless you specify for them not to be, or you can't follow simple instructions, or you can be like, I'll pull it up here, Tim in Silver Springs, Nevada. He wrote a book, and I would take the whole show for me to read it, so I'm just going to kind of paraphrase it. Basically, I thought my little brother knew a lot. Okay, so we were talking about Godzilla x Kong last week,
yes,
in our review of it and everything. And I was kind of going off, well, I didn't explain this, they didn't explain that. I didn't understand why this and that and the next thing. Oh, man.
Were you just schooled?
I was. Well, if you read the graphic novel that came out as a prequel to blah, 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 it says why Tiamat was trying to usurp Godzilla. And so that's why Godzilla didn't bother to figure that one day that Tiamat would try and overthrow him or get into a fight with him. So he figured since he had to kill Scar King anyway, and he was powering up for this big battle with Scar King and the apes, that he would just kill two birds with one stone. This whole story, and same with Scacula, Cthulhu-faced spider. Same thing, I guess, that went into detail. Also, during Godzilla King of the Monsters, the only reason why she bowed to Godzilla was because she knew it was a fight it couldn't win. So that's why it was just kind of, but it was very, it's classified under Monarch as a destructor or destroyer type of Titan.
Right.
And so it lives for only the purpose of destroying and eating. And so Godzilla had to take out because it would just keep going and also threaten Godzilla in the future as well. So, okay. See, that's all the details they should have thrown in some. Well, I guess they did throw it in
They
there.
did. It was
But
so
to cross-reference graphic novels and comic books and
So you're saying the universe is too wide now?
too wide for a simpleton to follow, and so I wasn't following that closely, I guess. But thank you for the and hopefully Scott calls.
Yeah,
The world.
you might have some information.
Oh yeah, his. I'd like to hear his viewpoint on Godzilla, Kong, the New Empire, because yeah. But anyway, so thank you, Tim in Silver Springs, for that very lengthy email
Yes,
that
thank
I'm not going to go into detail on the air because it would take quite a while to read. But it had a lot of insight and a lot of info, so thank you. Gavin from London, UK.
No.
I like the trailer for The Crow. I don't understand why you're so against it. I thought it had everything it was supposed to, just modernized for today's youth. I think you're just being an old man out in the yard screaming at kids to stay off your lawn. Okay.
That's funny.
It was amusing, but no. There's specific reasons why I didn't like it. And like I said, throughout the mythos of The Crow, especially in the graphic novels that had come out in the previous years and everything, it would be, they could have picked any number of characters. They didn't have to go with the Eric Draven. And I just think it was an insult to the memory and legacy of
Brandon Lee.
Yeah, to go for the jugular and the Eric Draven Crow as opposed to any other. So I think that they also thought they were going to try and franchise this out, and I don't see that happening. So
the only way they could is if they actually went with other Crow characters.
Yeah,
that would be the only way. But they would have to start from an original, not from Draven. You know,
unless they hint at that.
Yeah,
somewhere in this movie or something, but you never know until you watch it, right?
Right.
But I'm not going to be watching it, so
I don't know. Yeah, I probably will when it's on like streaming, just because it'll be on.
Unless they release it, the second trailer release, but they don't have much time. I mean, they literally waited 3 months to release the first trailer, which is not a long time for to whet people's appetite for this thing.
No.
So. That's
I don't think they have it's one of those studios we don't have very much faith. I see it coming to streaming soon after.
Yeah, me too.
Which is why that's where I'll end up watching it. But I don't know.
But
I like the Skarsgård kid that's in it. But I just don't like I said earlier. I don't like the ways they're changing his origin.
Yeah, among other things. I don't like his look either. I mean, I never understood the face tattoos, and I mean, if you're Tongan or it's part of your cultural heritage, fine. But if you're just putting names on there in cursive that nobody can read anyway, what's the point? I mean, quite honestly,
it just seems like to go through a lot of pain for what you're not even going to see it unless you look in the mirror all the time.
You never know. Never know. Not the same with the neck tattoos.
Those two. That's a lot of pain.
I wouldn't know. I never had a tattoo on my neck.
It just looks like. I mean,
yeah,
like Post Malone. Ooh.
I don't get it.
I don't either.
Jerome from Montreal, Quebec, Canada. I'm with Rob. I liked Godzilla Kong. I didn't get the C-1 yet, so I can't make the comparison that you did. But do I really need to? No, I guess you don't. But every franchise from filmmaker to studio to country is going to be different, and I don't think it's fair to compare the American version to the Japanese version. I think the MonsterVerse can stand on its own and hold its own against any Godzilla version out there. No, it cannot.
Well, I think it can too. And it is. I mean, look, they got the Monarch going, so
yeah. But where are they going with it?
Eventually, there's going to all tie in. So,
hopefully,
That's that's the goal according to
Yeah, well,
started the
that was the whole
Monsterverse.
goal when they started Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. too.
Yeah, but at least Monarch was actually following it. Where Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I think after it was like 6 weeks, they diverted because the delay in one of the movies.
Sure. So, Alma from Reno, Nevada. Can't wait for Beetlejuice. I'm glad Michael Keaton is getting another crack at characters he was made famous, first with Batman and now with Beetlejuice. Yep.
Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah, it does.
And I like Jenna Ortega.
I'm still kind of wondering what her role in that is going to be.
She's the daughter.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not going to guess, though. I don't read enough on a little behind-the-scenes stuff to obviously, or else I wouldn't have been schooled by Tim in Silver Springs on Godzilla. So, but anyway, that's another one I want to see another trailer for before that one for sure before I make a decision. But yeah, they shouldn't do a close up on Michael Keaton when he's in the makeup now that he's older.
The juice is loose.
Because the lines on his face and everything are way visible now. So anyway, if you would like to send us an email, feel free at popculturekaboom@gmail.com. And May 4th is Free Comic Book Day, and Dreamwell Comics, the only Northern Nevada participant, will be celebrating Free Comic Book Day with a 2-day extravaganza. Saturday, May 4th, commonly known as May the 4th Be With You, aka Star Wars Day.
Yep.
And Sunday, May 5th, with all the Free Comic Book Day goodies, other celebratory knickknacks, and of course, Pop Culture Kaboom's radio show will be a part of the festivities. I will be at Dreamwell Comics 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. Saturday, May 4th. And since Free Comic Book Day falls on May the 4th, also known as Star Wars Day, anyone who is at Dreamwell Comics while I am there, dressed in their best Star Wars cosplay, will get a special gift from me. I will also be there Sunday, May 5th from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. And May 5th, since we're not going to be there May 6th, which is commonly the Revenge of the Sith, it'll now be May 5th as Revenge of the 5th, I guess. Anyway, so cosplay is your favorite Dark Lord, and I will have a special gift for you. Then stick around to be a part of the live audience at Dreamwell Comics. Will remain open till after 6 p.m. for a special in-store broadcast of Pop Culture Kaboom's radio show from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. And it looks like we might have a guest, too.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, a big surprise guest. So you'll have to wait and see. But I will have a special between the 2 days. If you are cosplaying and you come in dressed up as in Star Wars garb to get a special gift, I will have a special grand prize for the best cosplay Star Wars related during the show, which I will be highlighting when we do our taping of Shop Chatter with Robert and Jimmy this Wednesday. I will show you what that new what that special grand prize will be. So if you, and I'll have it posted a lot quicker this time. I think I got a formula for it. It's a lot easier to do a formula for that than it is for the interviews that we do.
Oh, probably.
So there you go. So May 4th at Dreamwell Comics in Carson City for a 2-day extravaganza. There are now only 153 days until Carson City, Nevada's first ever pop culture and comic book convention, KaboomCon. 97 and Out Productions will be putting on KaboomCon Saturday, September 7th, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. You can follow KaboomCon on Facebook to keep up with all the details on all the vendors. So you can sign up for the art contest, you can sign up for the cosplay contest, and you can also keep up on all the activity announcements, panels, and that will be taking place throughout the day, and special guests announcements for KaboomCon 2024. A limited number of pre-sale tickets are on sale through Eventbrite.com, and a portion of the proceeds from KaboomCon will go to Cold Nose Rescue and Sanctuary in Mound House and KNBC 95.1 FM Community Radio. I got to be like a little Mr. Announcer there. 97.1 or 95.1 FM Community Radio. All right. So if you'd like tickets for KaboomCon, feel free to call 775-515-4141. Pick a number from 1 to 10.
Let's do 5.
Caller number 5 will get a pair of tickets for KaboomCon. So 775-515-4141. So let's get to the big story. In Action Comics #1, CGC graded at 8.5 has just shattered the Vintage Comics record books with a $6 million sale at Heritage Auctions. This is an all-time high record for a copy of Action Comics #1, as well as the highest price ever paid for any comic book, surpassing the $5.3 million private sale of the Superman #1 CGC 8.0 Edgar Church copy in 2022. Published in 1938, so it's almost 100 years old. Action Comics #1 featured the first appearance of Superman, and no, I didn't. I was not alive back then, and I did not have one. So now, first appearance of Superman from DC Comics by creators Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster. This particular copy was part of an original owner collection known as the Kansas City Prestige. This copy of Action Comics #1 is one of the 4 highest graded copies graded by CGC, with 2 CGC 9.0 copies and 2 CGC 8.5 copies currently at the top of the CGC census. It is the highest graded copy to hit the open market since 2014, when a CGC 9.0 copy sold for $3,207,852. The other CGC 9.0 copy, the infamous Nicolas Cage copy, why I said infamous, I don't know, sold for $2,161,000 in 2011. Both CGC 9.0 copies are known to be in the Impossible Collection, an assemblage of high-grade vintage DC comics put together by billionaire Eamon Hariri, and not expected to hit the market again anytime soon. Another CGC 8.5 copy sold privately for $3.25 million in 2021. The Kansas City Prestige is considered to be the earliest such prestige collection, original owner and significant quality of depth to be found. It emerged in Kansas City in the late 1960s and consists of almost 250 high-grade #1 issues published from 1937 to 1940s. Wow. This Kansas City copy of Action Comics #1 was also the first comic book to surpass the $1 million mark in 2010, then graded at an 8.0. In the interest of completeness, it should be noted that the Action Comics #1 Edgar Church copy, part of the treasure trove of high-grade comics purchased in 1977 by Mile High Comics owner Chuck Rosansky, also known as Betty Pages, has been sitting ungraded and virtually unseen in the hands of a private collector for decades. No decent scan or photo of the Church copy, widely considered the most valuable comic in existence, has ever been made public on the internet, though the few knowledgeable individuals who have seen it claim it is undoubtedly the best copy known to exist.
Wow.
This record sale joins an almost impressive year for high-end vintage paper periodicals. Boy, that's a tough word. Records in early 2024, including Detective Comics #27, the first appearance of Batman, a CGC grade of 6.5 at $1.82 million. Showcase #4, the first appearance of Barry Allen as Flash, which was a CGC 9.6 for $900,000. Brave and the Bold #28, the first appearance of the Justice League, a CGC New Mint Plus 9.6 for $810,000. Amazing Spider-Man #1, CGC, okay, well, there's no number there, for $1,380,000, and an all-time pulp record for the first appearance of Tarzan, an all-story October 1912.
Wow.
Hammered at $264,000. You think it would be more, quite honestly?
Yeah, being the first.
Well,
that was like the first comic book, apparently. Almost.
1912, yeah.
That's what I mean. It's like the first comic book.
Wow. So, I don't know. I've never actually seen an actual physical copy other than the facsimile that DC keeps releasing.
Right? Yeah, no, exactly.
Which is kind of funny when you get back to those old comic books and seeing ads for sea monkeys.
Oh, I know. And, yeah, we still have sea monkeys around now.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't it just like brine shrimp or something?
Shrimp. Yeah, there's another one, too. They're calling it sea dragons.
Sea dragons?
Yeah, and they're not there's a different brine shrimp. So, but yeah.
Okay. There you go, kids. And we're stealing food from whales now to make.
Apparently, yeah, for pets that look nothing like the drawings on the front.
No, they don't. That's false advertisement right there. They look nothing like monkeys. At least not in this dimension.
Well, I mean, if you see, even when you looked at them back in the old pictures, they looked almost human-like. Like, you remember?
Oh, yes.
They had like a face. And
yeah. And then you get that package and it's like some weird alien looking creature.
You needed a magnifying glass to see them.
That too. Whales eat these things? Yes, they do. All right. So, speaking of number ones, Dynamite has announced that the initial orders for Space Ghost #1 from comic book retailers came in past 33,500 copies. But they also point out that in recent years, Dynamite has experienced significant double-digit percentage jumps at final order cutoff, which is this weekend for this title. So we'll find out tomorrow whether or not they jumped higher. Bleeding Cool has covered a number of these jumps in the past. Even with that, Dynamite feels this book has been undersold by retailers at the moment.
Really?
Interesting. Writer David Pipos, who has risen from Spencer and Locke to Punisher, Savage Avengers, and Moon Knight, is joined by Dynamite's Jonathan Lau on the book, and Dynamite says that they have crafted a thrilling story that balances the timeless spirit of the original Hanna-Barbera cartoon with the most modern Action Comics delivery. The first issue of Space Ghost #1 is on final order cutoff this weekend, the last chance for retailers to increase their orders and for readers to get in their pre-orders with their local comic shop. So yeah, I should have been doing this yesterday, I guess, or on Friday. Dynamite also reminds us that despite strong initial orders, a major jump at final order cutoff, and a healthy overprinting, Thundercats #1 still managed to sell out completely at the distributor level. Wow. The second and third printings of the first issue were necessary to meet demand from customers and retailers. Dynamite also reminds retailers that Space Ghost #1 is fully returnable. Oh, okay, Eric. He almost forgot it was Sunday. But thanks for checking in, Eric in Whittier, California. You missed a great story, Eric, by tuning in late. But anyway, Dynamite also reminds retailers that Space Ghost #1 is fully returnable to stores that order 20 copies or more. He was software coding. Oh, okay. First world problems, Eric. I'm trying to run a show, man. Anyway.
So they could return it. Wow.
If they order 20 copies or more. But it doesn't say how many they can return.
Right.
But, you know, this is kind of always a thing with it. Oh, thanks, Eric. He'll catch the podcast.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, Eric. On your favorite podcast platform. But anyway, so this is kind of like something that I brought up on the show before, is like, you know, it's kind of like trying to guess. Unless you're actively at your comic book retailer saying, hey, I really want this book, and you're really into what's coming out, you know, it's hard for them to predict what to get and in what quantity to get, because you're kind of guessing on what the demand for something is going to be. I mean, it's not like music where, you know, you flip on a radio station and you can, you know, catch a single off a new album to kind of hype you for it. Comic books are a completely different beast. And if you're not in the know with going in through like Previews magazine or anything like that, then you're not going to know what's coming out.
Yeah.
You know, so, and retailers really aren't helping themselves very much with that. Thundercats, I think, is an anomaly because everybody knows Thundercats.
Right. Not
a lot of people know Space Ghost. I mean, Thundercats was a global phenomenon, you know, but like a guy who was, I read an article regarding the story from a guy who lives in the UK.
Okay.
They never saw Space Ghost because it was just strictly a North American thing.
Well, I was going to say, and most people are more familiar with Space Ghost Coast to Coast. Not
that abomination.
Not Space Ghost. Dude, I actually like Space Ghost Coast to Coast because it was just hilarious.
It was like a talk show, right?
Yeah, yeah. But it was so funny. It was so funny. But they weren't familiar with the actual old show, you know. So I think that's also where, like, people are going to be confused. Like, wait, there's a talk show comic book? Like, you know, like.
What was that character's name? The insect?
The insect.
The insect that they had on the show.
Oh, the Gloob guy.
What was his name?
Oh my gosh, I can't even remember. It's been a while since I've seen Space Ghost, even Space Ghost Coast to Coast. But
okay. And didn't he have like a kid or something on there at some point too? Did Space Ghost have like a kid or something?
I want to say yes.
I know he had the boy and the girl, but I thought there was somebody who like was like a sidekick character for Space Ghost or something. Maybe I'm just confusing it with something else. I don't know anymore.
Let's see. Trying to find out.
Give me Space Ghost information.
Yeah, now you got me like curious here. Let's see. Super villains. Space Ghost and Dino Boy.
Oh, maybe that was it. Then he kind of looked like a Space Ghost kind of character, and he had like the little wristband.
The insect I think you're referring to is Zorak the villain.
That's it.
Yes. That was like the praying mantis looking like guy.
Yeah, exactly. So except with big eyes.
Right.
So, but yeah, that was kind of a. But anyway, so yeah, Space Ghost was kind of like a strictly North American thing, and not too many people knew about it outside the U.S. So. That could be a reason why.
And there was only 42 episodes total of the original Space Ghost.
But still, Pink Panther was in, that. I don't know how many episodes of the Pink Panther was, but I used to watch that cartoon all the time too. That was hilarious. So, anyway, I digress. So, Aerosmith Fox has just launched a publishing deal with Marvel for 3D enhanced comics, art portfolios, art books, and new prose novels to be distributed to retailers, not through Penguin Random House, but through Lunar and Diamond under the name Pan-Universal Galactic Worldwide. Yes, Eric, before the Cartoon Network version, which was the Space Ghost Coast to Coast, there was an actual Space Ghost cartoon. It was on it. It was one of the reasons why we ate cereal and sat in front of the TV every Saturday morning before getting kicked out of the house by 11 a.m. to go play out in the yard or wherever, and return before sunset.
Yeah, it debuted in September of 1966.
Wow, really? That long? So I wasn't even born then, so never mind.
The legendary Gary Owens was his voice.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, Eric remembers it now too. Okay. Well, you remember the Cartoon Network version, Eric, or the actual Space Ghost cartoon? Because that's something that Cartoon Network should bring back.
The original.
The original, yeah. So Lunar and Diamond under the name Pan-Universal Galactic Wonder Worldwide. This will begin in June with New Mutants number 98. Actually, I saw the cover, and man, it is headache art.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. It's like multiple lines, so it looks like the image is blurred.
Oh.
Yeah, it gave me a headache.
Almost mosaic, or no?
No, like a 3D printed. So you have to wear like 3D glasses to actually look at it.
Oh, well, that's probably why it looked terrible.
Yes, because I didn't have 3D glasses.
Right.
On. This will begin.
Who has a pair of 3D glasses nowadays? Really?
Nobody.
I know, right? Are they giving you a pair with the comic book?
They better. Yeah, the comics, like $9.99, and the glasses are $20.
Right? Yeah, no, exactly.
But
it's like the glasses for the eclipse for tomorrow, Like...
Oh yeah. Huh? What is this whole news thing about? I keep hearing people say that like there's like some widespread panic thing going on about the eclipse or something, like something's weird's gonna happen or something like that.
Well, I guess because it's actually like a long time of totality. If you're in the zone of totality, it's like going to be like 6 minutes of complete darkness.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's
cool.
like quite a long time. Unfortunately, where we live, we're getting a partial.
Yeah, of course.
So,
well, we had that lunar eclipse last year.
But this
on
is
the West
solar.
Coast. Or solar eclipse last year on the West Coast. Kind of went from Seattle and cut through like Yerington or something like that here in Nevada.
But it wasn't very long. This one's going to be long. Like it's like 3 hours long.
Because it's going from from the panhandle of Florida all the way up the East Coast or something?
Mexico it's like Mexico's the first
of course they
country on the West Coast. And then it goes through Texas like an arc. I want to say from like the West Coast of Texas to the East Coast of the United States. And I think it goes more through Canada. Because there was something wrong. Like I just saw a map was released because math was wrong or something. So
good job, scientists. Good job. Can't even get a solar eclipse right. I'm supposed to believe you on the weather every day.
Right.
That weekly forecast. All right. So, again, if you want a pair of tickets to KaboomCon, call in number 5-775-515-4141. Mexico to Maine is what Eric is saying that the eclipse is going to go through. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. But anyway, we'll be back with more Pop Culture Kaboom's radio show. We got all kinds of stuff lined up for you, including Mr. Tony Sanfilippo with the movies coming up next week, or this coming Friday, however you want to look at it. And, of course, our big interview with Mr. Dustin Ferguson. So don't go anywhere. More Pop Culture Kaboom's radio show right after this. Welcome back to Pop Culture Kaboom's radio show. Everything you want, everything you need in pop culture entertainment. So last week we were discussing, I guess, AI and using
comic books.
Well, and movies and just, kind of going the way of using all digital or all CGI kind of movie type things or whatever. And Eric brought it up. He just said, you didn't get back to me about what you thought about Unreal in regards to making movies. It depends on how you go about it. I mean, if you're using AI as a film director, where do you draw the line? I mean, that was the whole thing about the whole writer's strike and the actor's strike was them using the CGI or AI in excess and costing people their jobs or their likeness. And there was just recently a big lawsuit in regards to that too, with George Carlin of all people. His estate sued somebody for making a comedy special using an AI rendition of George Carlin. So it all depends on how it's used, and like anything else, it depends on what the intent is with it. If it's going to cost people their jobs, I mean, you're going to have people who have to code the whole thing, and in that regards, there's jobs being created because, you got to learn how to do this, and people who know how to do it well are going to be in high demand, and they're going to make a lot of money. But the people you still have to have voice actors, I think, because AI can duplicate somebody's voice, but they can't duplicate emotion, I don't think. At least not to a degree that a live person could. And that's kind of the part of the whole performance. And I don't think AI or even Unreal Engine is at a point where it can actually do that yet, where it can be effective in producing an emotional effect or even looking like an emotional reaction on the characters that a human can do. I mean, it's fine for doing like aliens, because obviously we don't have very many aliens on this planet. That can do the role. Or, recreating. I did see that thing that you sent to me, Eric, and I did comment on that. Scroll up.
So, I'm looking right now about how, but with Unreal Engine and AI, and it's saying that it does use procedural generation, uses AI to automatically generate content for games. So I don't know about movies, but what it does is it includes things like levels, environments, characters, and other game elements. So you can actually use it for.
Well, I know they use it heavily for the cutscenes that they do in movies, which is kind of misleading because the graphics always look really great with the cutscenes, and then you get to the actual gameplay and you're like, what the? This looks nothing like it's like you got the game on Wish when you thought it was going to be this one thing, and then it ended up being something completely different.
That's why I like when they do actual gameplay trailers versus the trailer, the release trailer,
Okay, Eric says he's going to send you clips.
Okay.
He says, okay. Just put in Rob Nault and in Messenger, and you'll find him, and you can send him that way, Eric. Or I'll send that one you sent me.
I think he has my email.
Yeah, I think he does. All right. Anyway, with this article with the pan-dimensional 3D, they're going to be doing New Mutants number 98 first, edition by Rob Liefeld and Fabian Kazaa, with the first appearance of Deadpool, Domino, and Gideon, and first published in 2D in 1991. Each pan-dimensional 3D edition will include the complete full-color issue, digitally enhanced in red-blue 3D. Let's see, that's where it's... I'll dig up a picture to show you that, just so you can see what headache art it is.
Well, I'm if it's anything like when they did it before, it was terrible until you actually put glasses on. So.
Oh yeah, it is. It
looked
really
almost
is.
black and white with a double image superimposed.
Oh no, it looks a lot better now.
Okay,
but it's still, yeah, I'm going to definitely pull up a picture now. But anyway, Deadpool and oh yeah, so you'll will be polybagged with custom pan-dimensional 3D glasses that match each title. Subsequent titles will include Deadpool #1 from 1997 by Joe Kelly and Ed McGuinness, and X-Men #1 by Jim Lee and Chris Claremont from 1991. Black Panther #1 by Jack Kirby from 1977, and Incredible Hulk #340 with Hulk vs. Wolverine by Peter David and Todd McFarlane from 1998. No idea whether or not any of the creators will see any money from this or not. Of course, you don't.
I just hope that they actually have the ones that you can actually wear instead of, because remember when they came out before, you couldn't wear them. You had to put them up to you had to use one hand to hold them and one hand to turn the comic book.
I know, they should have just done it like a monocle, so you feel like Mr. Peanut while you're doing that, From the back pages of last week's Street Fighter Masters, Akuma vs. Ryu #1 comic by Ken Shikong and Kenneth Lau from Undun Studios is the news of a new comic book series. Final Fight is a 4-issue series launching in July from Undun Studios in Capcom. Final Fight is a series of beat-em-up video games by Capcom, kind of like Street Fighter, which began with the arcade release of Final Fight in 1989. Set in a fictional Metro City and taking place within the Street Fighter universe, the game's star heroic vigilantes who fight against the control and various threats of criminal gangs, primarily the Mad Gear Gang.
Mad Gear Gang.
I know. I could just imagine what they look like now, with actual gears and sewn onto their face.
I wasn't even thinking that. I was thinking these people with just random oh, I have a backpack on my arm instead of my shoulder.
And taking place within the Street Fighter universe. Blah, 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 blah. They also have a Street Fighter versus Final Fight coming for Free Comic Book Day in May. And actually, we'll be talking about that on Wednesday for the Shop Chatter, as all the big releases that'll be coming out. So, Sony's next major PlayStation event is rumored to be taking place this coming month in May of 2024. Back in February, PlayStation held its first State of Play presentation of the year and highlighted games that included Silent Hill #2, Death Stranding #2, Judas, and a new remake of Until Dawn. Since this time, Sony has been laying pretty low and hasn't divulged any plans to hold another State of Play or in another similar event in anytime soon. Fortunately, for those eager to learn more about what's coming to PlayStation 5, it seems we shouldn't have to wait a whole lot longer. According to reporter Jeff Grubb, a new event tied to PlayStation should be happening at some point in May. Grubb didn't provide many details about the event and when it would take place within the month, but he did say that he's heard Silent Hill 2 could once again appear during this presentation. Beyond this, Grubb also added that he believes this will end up being a proper PlayStation Showcase event rather than a smaller State of Play broadcast. Generally speaking, it would make a ton of sense that for the next PlayStation Showcase to take place in May, as Sony held its last event of this type back in May of 2023. As a result, it seems that Sony might look to start holding showcase broadcasts every May, much as it used to hold its biggest press conference of the year in June when E3 still existed. If this PlayStation Showcase is confirmed by Sony to be happening in May, such a confirmation likely won't come about for a few more weeks. When it comes to what might appear during this new PlayStation presentation, it's hard to say. Historically, PlayStation showcases have been a venue for Sony to highlight much more of what it's developing at its first-party studios. Over the past few years, Sony has been very quiet when it comes to its own developers, which suggests that there could be a ton of big surprises in store with this new showcase. Regardless, hopefully we won't have to wait a whole lot longer to find out. The only thing I'm upset about, because this is becoming a big thing now, is especially now that Xbox has a kind of a dual, you can buy either the console with or without a disc drive.
Right, the X or the S.
Yeah, and a lot of PlayStation included, their consoles are going to more like the online purchasing through their Game Pass network things. And I guess when the game gets shut down, then there goes your game, which is like kind of weird. At least that's what I understand from it. I haven't bought video games like that in a long time. I usually go through Steam anyway. So it's kind of like, in streaming a movie and not being able to own it, but having to pay for it and only getting able to watch it once or until they say you can't watch it anymore.
Right. That happens occasionally. Not so much anymore, but it did in the beginning. Yeah, with movies. It did in the beginning, but not so much anymore. But I don't know. I'm trying to think because like I have the Xbox S, which is but I also have an Xbox One, which also uses the discs. But the thing with the discs too is that even with the discs, they have to check into the online network before you can even play them. You can't just like pop it in and play it. So you got to have access to online to even play your discs. So
that's goofy too.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, okay, well then if I have to keep doing that all the time, then might as well just get the digital version. It's going to, it's always going to be updated to the most recent version. Because that's what the disc is doing, is making sure you have the updates and stuff like that. So, but I don't know. I haven't encountered any of my games yet disappearing. So,
well, I'm sure they give you some sort of warning. But I was saying the memes about it is like, it kind of legitimizes piracy of a game if they're going to just take the game away from you anyway.
Right. I mean, but even then, like I see, like most of the time, it's just like the online multiplayer part, or you know what I mean, like it's not the actual like gameplay that you play as like first person or something. But I think it depends on the game. So
yeah, I'm going to stick to Steam and the Star Wars Galaxies version that I'm playing, the Restoration Universe.
Yeah,
so yeah, that's fun. I'm enjoying that, so might as well just stick with it.
I like my X. I like it because like I could download certain, especially because I do have I have the Game Pass, so I have the different games pop up every month that I can download and play. And
yeah, I have Game Pass too, but I got to get a new Xbox because I have the Xbox 360 still.
Oh, yeah.
So mine was
you're losing compatibility.
Oh yeah, I'm losing a lot of things because that's what I used to watch Netflix through and everything. So I got to get a smart TV or upgrade to a new Xbox.
You don't even need to get a new one. Just go get an Xbox One.
Really?
Yeah.
It's just a 360 that they're.
Yeah.
Well, that's bull.
Yeah, most of the games are still coming out with either the XS version and it's back, and the like when you buy the XS version, you get the one version as well, or they come as separate. You buy the one version or you buy the S or X version.
Because I still got actual hard copy games. I like what was that one that's like really popular now? I can't remember. Anyway, I got the first version of that. So
they should be compatible when you put the discs into the Xbox One.
If it's the one with a drive.
Yeah. Well, the one has the drive. That's what I'm saying. Like you don't have to go to the S or the X.
Gotcha. Okay. So I thought you meant like the first version of Xbox One. No, that was just called Xbox, wasn't it? Yeah. So I got you. I'm scooping what you're pooping. So these days it's hard to imagine a world without anime. Whether we're talking about Japan or the United States, the medium has a tight hold on fans across the globe. For decades, anime was once seen as niche, but these days, those days are long gone. Streaming changed the way anime is seen across the board, and services like Funimation paved the way for the push. Now, after 30 years of service, Funimation is now gone, but its legacy will never be forgotten. If you did not realize, the final day of Funimation operations passed on April 1st. Some hoped the announcement was a prank, but alas, Funimation has shuttered its services. From its app to its website, Funimation is no longer the monolith of anime entertainment we knew. The company is now mostly folded in with Crunchyroll as promised, but the Funimation farewell will take time to process. With the announcement, Funimation has become the talk of the anime fandom. The company dates back to 1994, and its homegrown acquisitions helped bring anime to a new frontier decades ago. From Sailor Moon to Dragon Ball, some of the biggest anime series stateside got their start at Funimation. In fact, much of anime's top titles earned love overseas because of Funimation, and it put anime on the map for millions. The service may have sunset, but Funimation itself will never be forgotten. Its operation has folded in Crunchyroll as Sony Entertainment acquired Funimation some years ago. In light of Funimation's closure, Crunchyroll reflected on the service's history and future in a statement shared with comicbook.com. And it goes, and I quote, "With gratitude, we thank all of the subscribers and users who have supported Funimation over the years. The future is bright for anime and for Crunchyroll." Not us, though, because we're done. No, I added that part in there. As we look at the road ahead, we look forward to sharing our love and passion for anime with more fans in more countries in all the ways they want to experience it. Streaming, films, collectibles, merchandise, events, games, and more. There's never been a better time to be an anime fan. Are you an anime fan?
Not too much.
There's some series that I enjoy, like Demon Slayer is the latest one. I'm like old school on a lot of that stuff because I remember when Cowboy Bebop first came out, and I watched the crap out of that. That and Trigun was always a fun one. You need to watch that one if you don't know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Vass, the Destroyer or the Slayer or something like that.
Okay.
I also used to watch Inuyasha. He was like a half demon, and he wanted to become a full demon. And it was just this.
I used to just watch Full Metal Alchemist.
And that one was weird too. I mean, when the daughter got turned into got melded with the dog.
Yeah.
That was like the most traumatic thing ever. It's like people still traumatized by that. But anyway, did you cry at that scene? Were you like upset about it?
No.
I was like, okay, that's pretty dark.
Yeah, no, exactly. but that series always was kind of on the little dark side. So
yeah, it was. Yeah, definitely not kid stuff. That's for sure.
No.
And I still don't know about this whole Akira live action that they've been talking about for like the last 40 years.
Oh.
You didn't know about that?
Mm-mm.
I think Takiti Wakwedi or whatever his name is the one who's behind that, I think. Yeah. But still, it's all weird stuff. But anime has always been fun for me, and I've always enjoyed watching it. I was one of the people who were first experienced people talking about Akira, and then I'm like, Akira? And so then I watched it, and I'm like, okay. And that got me into, but I used to watch it a long time ago, because it used to be called Battle of the Planet or something like that, but I knew it as G-Force.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm talking about? With and I don't know.
It was out around the same time as like Voltron and
pretty much.
Yeah.
But they were a team. They had the like weird helmets, and they had like Gleep or whatever his name was. He's like every time he talked, and of course they always had the fat guy named Tiny. Yeah. I don't know what that is with anime and their obsession with doing that, but I don't know.
It's the oxymoron.
Yeah. Gotcha, man. Gotcha, man. I don't know about that one. Maybe that was a West Coast thing, but G-Force was definitely on the East Coast, or at least in Florida. So, I don't know what Gotcha Man is. I'm going to have to look that up during the break.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with it.
Me neither. Oh, Power Rangers before. Yeah, well, kind of, but there wasn't. Yeah, actually, no, that is pretty apropos kind of Power Rangers before the Power Rangers technically. And of course, the main girl was always named Princess for some reason. Very weird stuff. But they were all color-coded and everything, so it was weird. So it looks like Godzilla Kong, the New Empire, has defied all expectations. If you don't know, the hit movie made its way to theaters over the weekend, and now the numbers are in. Not only did Godzilla Kong, the New Empire, gross more domestically than fans expected, but it just beat out Dune 2 to have this year's highest grossing opening yet. Deadpool's going to beat them all, though.
Oh,
I guarantee it. The update comes from Variety, as the trade confirmed the impressive figure. During its 3-day opening, Godzilla Kong, the New Empire, earned $194 million. This number beats out Dune Part 2, as the sci-fi epic raked in $178 million globally when it opened. As you can imagine, this news has left fans and industry insiders excited. Godzilla Kong, the New Empire, earned more than $110 million globally across 64 markets. China was one of the biggest supporters of Godzilla Kong, the New Empire, with a $44 million market gross. Mexico and India followed up as the movie's next top supporters. What happened to the U.S.? But anyway, we wanted to deliver something that was highly entertaining to audiences. Mary Parent, a producer on Godzilla Kong, the New Empire, told Variety in regards to its box office opening. Nobody has a crystal ball. You can only hope and dream. So seeing this result globally feels really good and exciting. The stellar opening for Godzilla Kong, the New Empire is bigger than you might think. Originally, the movie was expected to gross $50 million max in the U.S. during its opening. The number was eclipsed by the domestic box office return of $80 million. All of this cash has propelled the MonsterVerse past the $2 billion threshold. So if you ever doubted the power of kaiju, well, think again. If you have not seen Godzilla Kong, the New Empire, the movie is in theaters now. You can check out the MonsterVerse's previous films on Max. And, of course, Apple TV Plus is streaming the franchise's first live-action drama, Monarch, Legacy of Monsters.
It actually took the lead again in the box office for the second week.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I thought there would have been a drop-off because everybody who actually saw...
Well, there was a drop-off, but it was still the lead movie. It beat out Monkey Man, came in second, and First Omen came in third.
Well, horror movies generally aren't like a top of the box office.
They never are.
So, and nobody really knew
unless they have superstar power.
Yeah, which there's a lot of movies that won't reach that.
No.
Horror movie wise, I think the only one coming out that might is Aliens Romulus.
Oh yeah,
I'm waiting to see that.
Oh yeah, no,
I want to see a trailer of that one.
You haven't seen the trailer yet?
I saw kind of a trailer.
Oh, you have to see the trailer. It's good.
Them running through the hallway and
no, there's a whole trailer and they even have the oh my gosh, what is it?
Isn't it taking place on a space station or something like that?
Yeah,
like hundreds of face huggers running around.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Wow! You know what? Okay, Gotcha Man. Actually, that was G-Force or Battle of the Planet that I was talking about, Eric, and it's called Gotcha Man. Weird.
So, Gotcha Man, G-Force. Oh, huh.
Funky. All right. I guess that might be the original Japanese version. I don't know.
Right, or something. Yeah.
But anyway, I don't know. I wonder how many of these people. I was wondering if there'd be a second week drop off because of all the people that saw -1 and actually decided, a really good movie.
Right.
And they thought that maybe that'd translate into the American version, but to me it didn't. You had a different opinion of it, and I'm sure a lot of people did because a lot of people went and saw it. But they say there's a lot of Gigan is being hinted at, as well as Space Godzilla and they're already talking about the next movie. So hopefully it'll tie in with Monarch in some way, so that especially with Gigan, that'd be interesting.
So it did drop 60% from its debut. It only took in 31.7, but it still beat out every other movie over the weekend.
But still, that's kind of normal if you ask me. I mean, movies generally don't have longevity after their first week opening.
No.
I mean, because people, the people who really want to see it are going to go see it opening weekend. And the people who are kind of like, we'll see it the second week.
Yeah.
So,
well, it depends, I think, because there's a lot of theaters now that are taking passes for opening weekend now.
Really?
Yeah. So where before they wouldn't. So you always had to wait the second week, if you wanted to use your free movie pass.
True. Very true. Yeah. So, I'm not going to get into the next one because we're almost at the top. Almost ready for that break.
Whoa! So 7 hours ago, it's been said that they've actually taken in 361.1 million worldwide in 2 weeks.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, they're expecting it now to be 529 million.
Wow! Congratulations.
Yeah.
So there's something to be said about that, I guess.
Right?
Okay, well, there you go. We still got a minute. I can probably get through this. Evangeline is the latest Rob Liefeld creation that may be heading to the big screen. Lucky Chat Productions is producing. This is the company run by Margot Robbie, Tom Ackerley, and Josie McNamara. Simon Kingberg is also on board to produce. Directing the film would be Olivia Wilde. Mm-hmm. This is the second Liefeld creation in the pipeline, as he also has Prophet in development with Sam Hargrave directing and Jake Gyllenhaal starring. The Hollywood Reporter had the news of the project. There is no star attached to the film, though the question would be if Robbie might do it. She could sure play the part, but I think they should go with an unknown in this one. Mm-hmm. Let them sink their teeth into it, because this is one of Liefeld's best characters. So the story has a good hook and could be a launching pad for someone if done right. Here's the character's bio. Evangeline was the most feared warrior in Heaven's war host, having single-handedly broken into Pandemonium, the outer fortress of hell, to confront the devil himself. She is a fallen angel, banished from heaven by God after being tricked into questioning his love for humans. Evangeline was stripped of all of her angelic abilities other than her great strength and her blood, which once extracted from her body could be used as a weapon or a miracle once empowered by quoting verses from the Bible. Evangeline uses her powers to fight demons on Earth and is being groomed to be mankind's last hope in the coming Armageddon. So yeah, lots of religious implications there. Anyway, it is time for that hard break. It is the top of the hour hard break. When we get back, it'll be movie time with Mr. Tony Sanfilippo. Again, looking for caller number 5-775-515-4141, and you can get a pair of tickets for Kaboom Con, absolutely free, which is September 7th. So, with that being said, we'll be back right after this. Hello and welcome to Pop Culture Kaboom's radio show. Rob Nault is here. I am your not so humble host of all things Pop Culture Kaboom, and everything you want, everything you need in pop culture entertainment is being served up for you. Each week, the film powers that be release dozens of movies, some of which you will never hear about except here. Each week's upcoming releases are carefully picked over from Rotten Tomatoes, and up to 5 films are selected from genres that I would watch, and those genres are action, adventure, horror, science fiction, anime, or fantasy, and that's pretty much it. With that in mind, we sit through some of the most hideous trailers ever made, and we'll read you the synopsis of said films, then give you our not-so-humble opinions. Bear in mind, we are not professional movie critics. We're just overly opinionated blowhards. But Mr. Tony Sanfilippo, Filippo's Horrible Reviews is. You can catch all of Tony Sanfilippo's reviews of concerts, television shows, and movies at Filippo's Horrible Reviews. And how are you, sir?
I'm doing good. Jimmy, how are you guys this evening?
All right. Did you get a chance to see Godzilla yet?
Oh, no.
Okay.
I didn't go see it this week. It was one of those, between you saying the Vertigo thing, I know Jamie said she didn't know if she'd want to sit through that, and then, I don't know, this week just got away from me. I didn't do any movies this week.
Oof. Well, sounds like you're traveling, though, or...
Yeah, we're driving back from Denver, so I'm in the car, passenger, doing the show. So if I sound a little funny, it'll only be temporarily.
Funny ha-ha or funny ha-ha?
Not funny. It was good. We went down and we watched the Rockies. We caught the Rockies and the Rays down at Coors Field today, and it was a nice day for baseball. A little windy, but it was fun.
Well, fair enough. So here on Pop Culture Kaboom's radio show, we utilize a carefully crafted and patented Pop Culture Kaboom movie rating system. If it is worth seeing in a theater at full price, it is a good, not a great. That is to be determined by you if you choose to see it in a theater. If it is worth seeing in a theater as a matinee or in your town's cheap theater, it is a so-so. If it seems worth seeing on a streaming service or as a rental or however you choose to watch a film while avoiding social interaction, it is a blah. If it is deemed so awful you should wait for it to be on public television, it is considered a touch brown, because FCC regulations say we can't use profanity. And here are some of the movies coming out April 8th through April 14th for your listening pleasure, I guess. So, because it is radio. And as I throw a dart at the proverbial dartboard here, let's just get this one out of the way. In Flames, not the Swedish heavy metal band, but this is a movie. After the death of the family patriarch, a mother and daughter's precarious existence is ripped apart by figures from their past. They must find strength in each other if they are to survive the malevolent forces that threaten to engulf them. Okay. Even if there wasn't a language barrier, there was a tremendous visual barrier that I could not see beyond. Was this a horror movie? It starts out like it's going to be a music video, but from there it's a ghost story, something else. I have no idea. But I'm not in the mood to find out, so I'm just going to give it a touch brown and move on. Tony, what say you?
Man, I wish this trailer was playing Only the Weak or Meet Your Maker from the Swedish metal band In Flames. But it doesn't. It's some crummy pop music, and there's lots of subtitles, and I lost interest. I guess it got dark in some parts, but it still did not interest. So it's time to fire up the Jester's Dance and skip for the real In Flames music instead. Touch brown.
Okay. Rob, what say you?
I had to look at their Spotify list. Those were their top 3 songs. I really don't know that much about In Flames.
Me neither.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I think they're trying to just jump on the whole Bollywood bandwagon here or something without the Bollywood,
without the song and dance.
Yeah, because it was like a drama, and then all of a sudden it's horrifying. What was horrifying? She couldn't get into the door. That was like the only thing that obstacle was she was banging on a door. I didn't get it.
Okay.
Yeah. No.
So touch brown for you
touch
too.
Brown.
All right, first brown streak of the day. All right, Tony, what is next?
Well, from brown streaks, let's get damaging here with Damaged. How do you catch a brilliant monster? Well, when a sadistic murderer surfaces in Scotland, terrified local authorities call on a Chicago police detective who investigated a killing spree with the same horrific pattern 5 years earlier. Samuel L. Jackson and Vincent Cassel star in the shocking thriller about 2 detectives with tortured past trying to stop a merciless serial killer before he claims his next victim. Right. Well, Samuel Jackson is back, and he's not as Mace Windu. Instead, it looks like he's the character that he played back in The Negotiator. You remember that one from the late 90s, early 2000s with Kevin Spacey?
Yeah.
That's what he reminded me of that. He's trying to. He looks a little more older, weathered. Obviously, in this trailer, he's trying to find the killer of missing children. It has a little bit of a Seven vibe to me, just a little bit. It looked pretty good, but I would check this one out at home. I wouldn't go to the theaters to see this, but I would watch it at home. It can always do a good thriller, so I'll give it a blah.
Okay. Take your pick. Silence of the Lambs, 7. Throw Damaged on the pile for most watchable movies about serial killers. I generally like most of the movies Samuel L. Jackson is in, and I'm hoping that this will be another one. If the suspenseful mid-paced trailer is an example of how the movie will go, it won't take long to figure out who the killer is, but the chase will be half the fun. Also, a new drinking game. Drinking every time Samuel L. Jackson says, "Mother blank." I can't say it on the air. I, however, won't see it in a theater, though, because it'll probably get you drunk doing that. But I'm also going to give it a blah. Rob, what say you?
Yes, I was thinking this was kind of like Seven mixed with The Bone Detective. So I think we all kind of got that Seven vibe.
Yes, we did.
Look at that. All on the same page there.
Right? It's Samuel L. Jackson, so you know it's going to be good. There's going to probably be some witty dialogue and some one-liners that they're just throwing in, because no matter, even when he plays a dramatic character, there's always some little one-liner that makes you go, you know. So I imagine that's going to happen. It just kind of looks kind of like rote, though, like it's going to be your standard procedural serial killer movie. Oh, did we find him? Oh, let's go. Oh, we had the wrong lead. Now we're over here. And so, but it's Samuel L. Jackson, so you can't, hopefully you can't go wrong. But it also has John Hannity in it, you know, the brother from The Mummy. So,
Oh, yeah.
So he's always fun, too. So I think this would be a good watch at home. So blah.
All right. A blah streak. Unheard of.
Triple B.
Unheard of. All right.
Yeah.
Let's next is Sting. Not the singer. Sting spins a web of thrilling terror when 12-year-old Charlotte's pet spider rapidly transforms into a giant flesh-eating monster, forcing the young girl to fight for her family's survival. A 12-year-old fighting for her family's survival. Okay. Charlotte, really? I'm so glad I didn't see any of her neighbors with a potbelly pig named Wilbur. Anyway.
No, they had a parrot.
But if there is one, talk about an eye roll pun. I know a lot of people who are arachnophobic who will not be watching this ever, unless I convince them that it's about Sting, the short sword from Lord of the Rings. All in all, it looks interesting, though. It doesn't explain what radiation is in the building or if the child is feeding it super steroids or just milk. Anyway, though, it does look too predictable in some parts. It should be interesting enough to watch. At home, I'm giving it a blah. Tony, what say you?
Well, when I saw the title, I thought of the music artist, or I thought of the man they call Sting, who just was a wrestler who retired a few weeks ago. But it has nothing to do with either one of those Stings. In fact, this trailer starts with a guy knocking on the apartment door, and a lady makes this no, 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 which actually just triggered a horrible thing that happened last week. I had this Indian lady back into my new car.
Oh, no.
Well, I was parked at the gym, and she tried to drive away, and she goes, oh, no, 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 sorry, I have a bad day. I digress. Anyway, it triggered that for me. So this has nothing to do with that. In fact, this is, she has a little Sting in her apartment, and this movie looks like Gremlins, but it's just a spider, and by Gremlins, I mean it's just a gremlin. It's a single spider that just continues to grow and grow and seems to have a little whistle that it does with the little girl. So, if spiders scare you, this movie is going to be one of the most terrifying things you've ever seen. And the effects, it could also be terrifying in that department. But, during this, the spider gets bigger, terrorizing everybody. Then they do this whole John McClane thing where they want to get together, have a little laugh in the shoot there. The trailer was pretty funny. I definitely would watch it. So obviously not in the theaters. I'm also intrigued. Long drawn out blah here, guys.
Okay. Rob, what say you?
Yes, we have another, spider movie. I attributed this one more to the likes of Eight-Legged Freaks with the giant spiders.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of mixed with a little bit of arachnophobia, but not too much. So it looks interesting. I think like it's weird. Like it's not a normal spider where they just cocoons it or whatever. Cause they show you that parrot just looks like it was like decimated.
I know, it's just kind of like use all 8 legs to rip it apart.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, okay, that's interesting. And then of course, like the whole, like it has like I don't even know what it was, but like a tongue that lashes out and takes its victims or something. What? I don't know.
Okay,
yeah,
that's weird.
It has something. I don't know. They show it in the jar.
Space spider.
Yeah, it's like in the jar, and it like the bug is on the bottom of the jar, and from the top, something reaches out and grabs the bug, and yeah. So it's like, okay.
I was looking away at that point, apparently.
But yeah, so it looks interesting. Definitely, like I probably would not see this in the theater, so it's going to be a blah.
Well, okay. Another blah streak.
Another triple B.
Wow. Pretty good movie selection this week, I'd say. All right, Tony, what is next?
Arcadian. In the near future, life on Earth has been decimated. Paul and his twin teenage sons, Thomas and Joseph, have been living a half-life of tranquility by day and torment by night. When the sun sets, ferocious creatures of the night awaken and consume all living souls in their path. One day, when Thomas doesn't return home before sundown, Paul chooses to leave the safety of their fortified farm to find them before the creatures arrive. Just as he finds his boy, a nightmarish battle ensues, and Paul is gravely wounded. Now the twins must devise a desperate plan for surviving the coming night and use everything their father has taught them to keep him alive.
Ooh.
All right, Nicolas Cage is back, and nope, I'm not talking as Ghost Rider. Nope, this time he's in a new movie, and he's the father of two young boys in a post-apocalyptic world that seems to be ravaged by what I'm guessing is either aliens or zombies. They never really show. But it reminds me a lot of early Walking Dead meets I Am Legend. The fear of just not knowing what's out there, and you got to keep your loved ones safe, following simple rules to stay alive. The trailer was pretty awesome, and it actually hooked me. I think it had one of the kids from Stranger Things. It had some creepy vibes. Once, I like that whole setup of, like if you follow the rules and you don't stray at night, you could keep them away, and obviously something happens. But I won't go to theaters to see it. I just don't see Nicolas Cage movies going there anymore, so I'll stick at home to watch this one. I'll give it a blah.
Okay. Well, the trailer reminds me of several different movies, but at least it's interesting. After living their entire lives hiding every day, one day they just out of nowhere decide, maybe we shouldn't sit around to be killed. Let's fight. Okay, a kind of a goofy premise, but the trailer made the movie look interesting enough to watch, and a true sign of apocalyptic brotherly love. One of the brothers finds a girl, somehow, and doesn't bother to see if she has a friend to hook his brother up. I'd beat my brother up and feed him to the monster. It's just out of principle, but that's me, and I'm giving this movie a blah.
Should have shared the girl there.
Couldn't see she had a friend. Anyway, Rob, what say you?
It's Nicolas Cage, and it looks like his less Nicolas Cagey role.
It's Nicolas Cage, not Nicolas Crazy.
Yeah,
is what it is.
But he actually looks subdued in this, so it looks interesting. There's been some speculation about what the monsters look like, so I've kind of seen some concept art on that, so that looks actually kind of cool. But what bothers me is it has that M. Night Shyamalan feel that something's going to be
there's a twist.
Yeah, and it's going to be stupid. So which is usually what the M. Night Shyamalan twist is. It's really? For reals? Yeah, so that's the only thing that's keeping me from actually seeing this in the theater.
Oh, okay. So what do you give it?
It's going to be a blah.
Oh, blah streak number 3. Wow. The movie gods are happy tonight, I tell you. Okay. All right, which brings us to I wouldn't say it's a 40-pound gorilla, but a 40-ounce monkey, and that is Civil War. And no, not the Guns N' Roses song, though they should have been playing that during this. But anyway, from filmmaker Alex Garland comes a journey across a dystopian future America, following a team of military-embedded journalists as they race against time to reach D.C. before rebel factions descend upon the White House. Okay, so there is so much I can say about this, but this is not a political show, and this is an overly political movie. Perhaps it's a dire warning about the growing division among ideological beliefs, but what do I know? I only saw a trailer for a movie and have no desire to watch it, so I'm giving it a touch brown. Tony, what say you?
Oh, you brought the TV in, man. I was going to say, Kristen Dunst is back, but this time she's not as Mary Jane Watson. She's taking up the Peter Parker's role and doing the day job as photographer for the non-Daily Bugle. I actually thought the movie looked kind of awesome, I saw this trailer a while ago, probably 5-6 months ago. I saw it before something else. It looks a little twisted, just kind of messed up, because it is definitely very political. It's the country has gone crazy and they're at war with itself, so everything's divided. It definitely looks intriguing to me, and the trailer had me. It pulled me in, man. I got to give this one a good. I actually want to see this movie.
Okay, Rob, what say you?
All right. Well, I actually did a little bit of reading about it, and Alex Garland actually specifically did not specify as to what caused the Civil War, and or like what side is like what side. He like he kind of left like the politics out of it, kind of thing. So I'm interested to see how he did that. But it looks good to me. With Kirsten Dunst, actually looks like she's back to her old roots of actually being a movie star and not like arm candy. So it looks good. I like the premise. War journalists has always intrigued me because they're always on the front line and they see actually what's happening, and they can't always portray that to the public, because censorship or what have you. So those stories have always intrigued me. So I think that this movie, like Tony, I saw this months ago, and I've seen multiple different like previews. So to me, it's going to be I'm probably going to end up watching this.
Okay, so despite my negativities, Eric wrote about it as well. He says, it's funny. The movie said California and Texas joined forces. I know that's like the
well, and in the movie, California is a Democratic and Texas is a Republican. So and they're joining forces. So that's why I'm like intrigued, because so he somehow kept politics out because Republicans and Democrats are working together.
At least in that regard.
Yeah.
So who knows what if he doesn't get into what the details are of what the start of the Civil War. Plus, historically, civil wars of any sort have always kind of divided along the lines of North and South. I mean, it doesn't matter where you're in North Korea, you have Vietnam,
right.
The North Vietnamese invaded the South Vietnamese, and that's where, what was that? Whatever that capital was.
Yeah.
Our own civil war.
Right.
Even in Ireland, before the IRA decided to no longer be terrorists, that was divided with Northern Ireland and Southern Ireland too. So it's usually it's kind of weird how nowadays a civil war would actually it'd be coastal and inland. I think is more like the economy nowadays. But still, even then, you couldn't pick out like. I couldn't see Texas and California being anywhere near each other
they're kind of a long drive. So how do the logistics work of coordinating
that too? Yeah.
Especially if it is like Civil War and things are taken out, if communications taken out. I don't know how far. It is if it's like actually like, oh, it's just because some of the trailers have portrayed like, oh no, we're actually still living just fine. Like nothing's happened over here.
Well,
so you know what I mean? So I'm like intrigued, like, okay, this is like really strange. Like part of the country is at war and not part of it.
Yeah, it makes no sense to me.
But that's why it intrigues me to want to see it.
Eric says Fast and Furious driving. That's how they depend on the Luke boys for getting communication, right? I guess. Yeah. All right. So those are the movies coming out for April 8th through the April 14th. To recap, Civil War, the 40-ounce monkey in the room. I gave it a touch brown, but Rob and Tony gave it goods, so they'll be seen in the theater. Arcadian, all of us gave it blahs. Sting, all of us gave it blahs. Damaged, all of us gave it blahs. In Flames, all of us gave it touch browns.
We were almost in perfect unison.
Yeah.
I don't think that's happened, but it's pretty dang close.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, until we got to the end there. So next week we have a interesting assortment of movies. Villains Incorporated is the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare.
Yeah.
Which usually I don't have war movies in there, but it's classified as action-adventure. So Abigail, which actually I have down as the 400-pound gorilla, Sasquatch Sunset.
Yeah, I know which one that is.
Now, I don't know if this is following along the lines of I always said it how it was, kind of like with Godzilla, Kong, A New Empire, the X is silent, I guess. There's Spy Family, but it's Spy, and then there's an X.
Family?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess it's just Spy Family, Code White.
Is it anime? Because if it's anime, then it's definitely silent.
Okay. So a solar eclipse event in pop culture. Okay. Thank you, Eric. So, Tony, so you haven't been seeing any movies as of late, huh?
No, I've been this week. I don't know what's up. I don't know, just between work and other stuff. I just I had some family in town. No movies this week. I have stayed on top of X-Men '97 though. That's excellent. So.
Yep.
I'm enjoying the heck out of that. That's a fantastic show. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't even bothered to attempt to watch it even.
Oh,
once.
it's the exact same opening too. I actually ended up watching it. I watched them side by side.
Musically, that is a very odd time for a theme song. So kudos to the guy who wrote the music for that. Because wow, that thing
they got the rights back. They added a little extra crunchier guitar. There's an actual little breakdown in the middle now. It's nice. They change the opening every week, too.
Really?
So every new episode, you get the basic intro, but for whatever that episode's going to be about, they add a little different parts. So, like, this last week, Jubilee, it was about her, so it kind of tied into her and threw some throwbacks from the earlier show. So it was really cool.
What I'm kind of wondering, though, is because I haven't actually seen it, so I just saw the little memes, and people are upset that Gambit got done dirty with this whole love relationship between Magneto and Rogue.
Yeah.
What is going on there? I mean, how did Magneto score with Rogue?
There was something that happened in the old series, and it just is kind of resurfacing. But, she's still, like, I think with Magneto, she can touch him. Like, she can actually, she can have contact, whereas with Remy, which is Gambit, she can't. She has to wear her gloves. So, yeah, he kind of has gotten done a little dirty so far. But the second episode was great. They encountered Mr. Sinister, and then he gave them all nightmares. So he put these thoughts in Gambit's head. So, like, he's picturing her and Magneto, buff Magneto with the long white hair.
Right, yeah.
Like they're in bed and stuff, and he's freaking out. But, man, that second episode was awesome. It was just like he just created nightmares for all the X-Men. It was pretty cool. I mean, for animation and everything, I love it. Oh, it's a fun show.
And they brought in old Mr. Sinister for all of that, huh?
Yep.
No, I don't know why, but out of all the characters, at least in recent history, Mr. Sinister was always one that I liked the most. I didn't like the new thing that they did where, because he has a diamond on his head. They actually introduced other Mr. Sinisters throughout time, and they had, like, the other suits on their forehead, which was just kind of dumb.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm serious. It was you're looking at a Mr. Sinister with like
a club
on his or a spade, and it was like, oh, really? Or a heart.
Yeah,
that was the most goofiest
one. This
one.
one's like they've done good. They've stuck to the Jim Lee art style of X-Men. They haven't swayed from that. So the characters just look how I remember them as a kid. It's freaking awesome.
Cool. All right. So that's good to hear. Rob and I were talking before the show. There's a bunch of new announcements for new movies that are going to be going into production. Matrix 5 is going to be coming. I know, right?
Sorry.
Okay.
I want to hear all of them. I'll just give you my instant reaction of it. That was that one.
All right. So that was your instant reaction for Matrix number 5. What was the other ones we talked about?
Oh gosh.
There's some pretty big ones too.
My uncle's convinced he falls victim to a lot of the fake stuff. They did a really good fake poster for the Goonies 2 coming out next year.
Oh, really?
Which does not exist, by the way. But he's like, I can't wait. And I'm like, you have to keep waiting because it ain't happening. And plus, you wouldn't want that to happen.
No, you wouldn't. I guess
I wouldn't want that.
Moana 2 got delayed.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're not getting a November release on that.
No, I guess they got to bulk up the Rock a little bit more. I don't know, to make him fit that role a little better.
But there's
yeah.
Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan are back for Freaky Friday 2.
Disney Plus exclusive.
I don't know.
Yeah, that one just sounds bad, boys. That one sounds terrible. Moana, I think, would be fine. I know they're also doing a live-action Moana with The Rock as Maui. That's like 2026. So And that's good for the kids. I'm not against that one, but the Freaky Friday, no thanks.
All right, sir. We are at the end of the segment.
Oh no!
Oh
All right, well, I look
no!
forward to joining you guys next week. We won't be live from a moving vehicle.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
So
no.
a little less excitement in the conversation then, but
Yeah, you won't hear weird random stuff in the background. It won't sound hopefully so echoey or whatever it may sound like.
well, at least we didn't hear any profanity. So I guess you weren't in New York, so that's good.
No, you're good. No,
Get off the street, you bum.
Outskirts of Loveland, Colorado. We were good.
All right. Well, we got to run, but thank you, sir. Have a safe drive back home, and we will talk to you next week.
All right, fellas. Have a good show.
All right. For everybody else, we'll be right back. So don't go anywhere. We're still looking for caller number 5. We're up to caller number 3. Welcome back to Pop Culture Kaboom's radio show. Everything you want, everything you need in pop culture entertainment. It was back in June of 2023 when Susanna Makos, Executive Vice President, Original Comedy and Adult Animation, Max and Adult Swim, announced during the International Animation Film Festival that Charlie Grandy, Mindy Kaling, and Warner Brothers Animation's Velma would be back for a second season. Since that time, things have been pretty quiet. And then at around the start of the year, there were rumblings that the animated series would be back in April. Then, thanks to Max's April 2024 trailer that was released, we have Thursday, April 25th locked in as the official return date. Okay. The original Hanna-Barbera shows are still out there to watch. They are not erasing the originals, but we just want to be a little ice planet on the outer regions of the Scoobyverse. Grande shared with Emmy's magazine in 2023, making the logical case that both can exist at the same time and the world would still continue to turn. Mindy came to me and said she'd love to work on a story with Velma. She loved the character and thought it would be funny to have her at the center of the show. We asked ourselves, why stop at Velma being South Asian? None of these characters are rooted to being white. We're worried about going to Warner Brothers and asking them to do it, but they said, do it. It's time. Just make sure it's funny and good, which it was neither. But we're getting a second season anyway. Did you ever watch it?
No, I didn't.
Smart man. Me neither. I saw enough of it to know that I did not want to watch it.
And I love Scooby-Doo stuff. I watch all. I have almost all the movies that are out, but
It was the worst thing that happened to the Scooby franchise since Scrappy.
It was. It did not appeal to me at all. I don't know.
I don't know who it appealed to.
And I like Mindy Kaling, so it was kind of a weird, not win for me.
Fair enough. All right. Amazon Prime Video is adapting the award-winning graphic novel series Criminal, and the streaming service has tapped Captain Marvel writer-director team Anna Bodine and Ryan Fleck to direct the first 4 episodes. With graphic novel writer Ed Brubaker writing the pilot episode, Brubaker is also serving as showrunner alongside crime fiction writer Jordan Harper. Criminal has already been ordered to series and is reportedly in pre-production over in Portland. Over in Portland? Mm-hmm. Okay. The graphic novel series follows Leo, a professional pickpocket who is also a legendary heist planner and thief. But there's a catch with Leo. He won't work any job that he doesn't call all the shots on. He won't allow guns, and the minute things turn south, he's looking for any exit that won't land him in prison. But when he's lured into a risky heist, all his rules go out the window, and he ends up on the run from the cops and the bad men who double-crossed him. Now, why is he running from them if they double-crossed him?
Right.
Okay. Now Leo must come face-to-face with the violence he's kept bottled up inside for 20 years, and nothing will ever be the same for him again. That's just the beginning of what Criminal does with its narrative. The series, written by Brubaker and drawn by artist Sean Phillips, is actually the interweaving saga of several generations of families tied together by the criminal crimes and murders of the past that examined crime families in the underworld of the fictional Center City across several generations. The story of Leo Patterson and his criminal upbringing connects back to his father, Tommy, Tommy's partner, Ivan, as well as portions of story dedicated to the Lawless family, a military/crime family with whom Leo and Tommy have bad blood. Criminal was praised for being an examination of and smart twist on crime genre tropes, while also establishing its own hard-boiled noir story. It won the 2007 Eisner Award for Best New Series and followed that with the Eisner wins in 2012, Best Limited Series, and 2019, Best Graphic Album New. The series has arguably been ongoing since 2006 and has grown into a much bigger crime world universe. Featuring various characters and stories, Brubaker and Harper will also executive produce the crime TV series, and the series is being produced by Amazon MGM Studios. So, what do you think of that?
That sounds interesting.
Not really. Not to me. I mean, it kind of glorifies the criminal. And so that's where I step off the bus. I says, this is my stop. Let me off. Anyway. So, fan favorite science fiction series The Lazarus Project has been canceled after 2 seasons. The Sky series, which aired on TNT in the United States, originally debuted in June of 2022 and was given a second season renewal that same year. The series stars, I'm not going to try and pronounce any of these names, Tom Burke, there we go, Carolyn Quinton, and Brian Gleason. The other 2 names I will slaughter shamelessly and don't want to put people through that. Their series was well received by both fans and critics. Then why is it being canceled? It does not appear that the series is being shopped anywhere else. The Lazarus Project has brought audiences jaw-dropping action and time-bending storylines across 2 seasons, and we're incredibly proud of this BAFTA winning series, BAFTA. A statement from Sky via Digital Spy read, "Whilst we won't be commissioning another season, we would like to thank the incredible team who made this show possible." See, I don't understand that. If there's something as popular, as critical acclaim, has an audience, is doing really well and winning awards, why do they cancel it?
Because the studios are stupid. It's Netflix syndrome. Netflix cancels everything that people like.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. I mean, sure, shows are going to get the main reason most shows get canceled is because of the expense. Well, of course, the show is going to get expensive. The more people like it, the more you're going to put into the production value of it. The more, so that's going to cause it to have a higher production rate, dollar amount, So I don't know. I think studios are I think they're too busy trying to see the next big win versus trying to hold our attention for multiple seasons.
Eric has a question for you. Does he think Halo season 3 might happen?
I think so. I was surprised that they were doing season 2 with Paramount, but I think they're actually that's their one true thing that Paramount has. Is they're losing Star Trek Discovery, so I think that they're gonna
STD.
Yeah, so I think that they are gonna kind of jump on the wagon, and we have the other one that's coming out on its rival Prime that comes out this week.
Star Trek.
No. Not Halo, but not Borderlands. Fallout. So video games are in right now. You got Last of Us coming out. Season 2 is going to be coming out
in 5 years,
right? But so I think that Paramount is going to keep it. It may. I don't think it's going to be turned around as quickly as the second season was, but I think that they are going to do it because if they are going to go with the flood, then they need bigger production value on it. So.
And what did you think of Guilty Spark intro?
Guilty Spark intro.
I have no idea what that means.
I don't know. I'm confused at the moment. I'm drawing a blank, so I'm not sure, Eric. But yeah, no, because they started to introduce, though they basically said the flood's here. So at the end of the last season.
Dun. Yeah, so they're going to get into that, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, so at the end of the finale. Okay. So some breaking news because WWE's WrestleMania is going on right now. And I guess just across the newswire, Bayley beats Io Sky to become women's champion at WrestleMania. So congratulations to her. And Logan Paul shocks the WWE Universe and retains the U.S. title. Okay, that's
what?
I don't know. Yeah, so
okay, I didn't even know I knew he like boxed, but I didn't know he wrestled.
Oh no, that's his brother. There's Logan Paul.
Gotcha.
The Paul brothers, I guess.
Gotcha. Okay,
so
I confused them.
Which one of those idiots were the ones who had the like $1 million Pokemon card worn around their neck when they went into a ring? I can't.
That was the one that boxes. So whichever one is that.
The one who's about to get destroyed by Mike Tyson. In other words.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, well, I'm sure his brother's hoping he has that in the will.
Right.
And apparently, LA Knight destroyed AJ Styles.
Oh wow.
So, yeah. Okay.
Well, apparently too, The Rock was caught like cursing out some fan too.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. That's funny stuff there.
Yeah.
Let me see if there's any other. McIntyre beats Rollins, and Punk helps Priest Cash in the MITB for title. Okay. No, it looks like Anthony Hopkins is going to have a new series from Peacock. Those About to Die. Epic Roman Empire series. All 10 episodes set to drop on July 18th. So, yippee for that. At least that looks like Anthony Hopkins, don't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Good thing he's still acting. All right, so let me see if there's anything else on here that was worth checking out real quick before I go back to my news. Yeah, it's always funny that they get the actors to comment on whether or not they should continue as a character.
Right.
You know, so they have an article here about Tom Hiddleston wouldn't mind seeing Loki take on Daredevil and Wolverine.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, that ain't going to happen. Maybe Daredevil, but I doubt Wolverine.
Speaking of characters, Nev Campbell is back in Scream.
Really?
7. Yes. And Kevin Williamson is going to be directing. He wrote the first script. So, and Courtney Cox is back too. So,
okay. So,
could be interesting.
Yeah, she's going to be, what is it, Stormy Weathers? Was that her name?
Gail Weathers.
Gail Weathers.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're close.
Close enough. It was a bad name, and that's all I know.
Oh, it was a perfect name because she was, she started off as a weather reporter. So,
but still, that's just cheesy name. All right. So the 2022 horror film Megan surprised audiences by introducing a modern-day icon. The titular character, a robot initially designed for kids and later turned into a killer, has now been reinvented as a real-life doll. Nika announced the life-size Megan doll can be purchased for.
Let's say. Wait, what does it do? Does it do anything?
I have no idea. I haven't gotten that far in the article yet.
Oh, okay. Well,
probably not. Not at this price.
Then it's probably going to be like, not that price. And it's going to be in like the low hundreds.
$500. Officially, fans can pre-order the doll from Nika website for $494.99. The price is comparable with some of the Chucky replicas released by Nika and Trick or Treat Studios, so it's likely going to be a similar quality. For fans that want their very own Megan, especially ahead of the sequel slated for 2025, this is certainly a good opportunity. The description for the fully posable life-size replica mentions the following elements. This one-to-one replica is based on Megan's on-screen appearance, duplicated from actual film-used digital files to be the most screen-accurate representation available. It has an articulated inner armature, whatever that means, movable eyes, and synthetic hair matched to screen-use hair samples. Her clothing is made from film-used patterns and includes a dress with inner lining, two striped sleeves, whatever that means, a bow tie, underwear, tights, and shoes. The fabric material of her dress matches an exact swatch of the dress from the movie, and her shoes are customized with details from the screen-used shoes. The size of the Megan doll is a full 55 inches tall as well, so it's clear that Nika wanted to try and have as detailed a replica as possible. At this point, it's just another stepping stone for Megan to become a modern-day icon. With the merchandise and film franchise to show it, Megan 2.0 is already scheduled to be released on May 16th, 2025. So just a little over a year.
It's funny.
Funny ha-ha or funny ha-ha.
It's just funny how, because like last year, Universal had roaming Megans for their Halloween Horror Nights. So it was like a mob of Megans.
I remember seeing that. That was actually kind of amusing. But yeah. Let me see. Oh, this is a new thing out today too. The Hellraiser reboot producer says a sequel is still being discussed. Did you see the Hellraiser reboot?
Yes.
What'd you think of it? I haven't seen it yet. I've seen bits of it, but I haven't actually been able to watch the whole thing.
It was all right. It very much reminded me of the first one, where it was more gore than like scary. But it actually had a pretty decent storyline. So,
what'd you think of the new Hellraiser? I mean, it made sense because it kind of fit more with the along the lines of what the actual character in the novella was. But Doug Bradley will always be Pinhead.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah. I've always enjoyed the Hellraiser movies. Even the straight to video ones are always good for
a laugh.
Yeah, and it's funny too because like there's always some like obscure like actor in there that you're like, oh my god, he's actually like a good actor now. Like so
funny.
Yeah, I don't know. I liked him.
Okay, well, they might get a sequel. It'd be interesting to see if they keep the same person playing Pinhead. I know there's a lot of flack about a female playing the lead role, but what I seen, it didn't really make much of a difference. So whatever. Well, this is a first, as McFarlane Toys has unveiled an entire Page Punchers Gold Label 4-pack is heading our way. Releasing as a McFarlane Toys store exclusive, the upcoming wave of Superman Ghosts of Krypton has returned. This new set of Page Punchers features consists of Superman, the Supes of Earth 2, the Ghost of Zod, and Brainiac. However, this new sketch edition set strips away that color that gives them a new black and white design. Unlike the previous multi-pack sets, this one will actually have window packaging, which is a must in this day and age. All 4 issues of the McFarlane Superman Ghost of Krypton DC Comics miniseries will also be included and will feature new black and white variants. Sketch edition DC Multiverse figures are hit or miss, but if you need some Superman with fabric capes and appreciate the black and white deco, then look no further. Collectors will be able to snag this Page Punchers Sketch Edition 4-pack for, you want to take a guess?
120.
Wow, close. $99.99. Pre-orders are already live right on the McFarlane Toys store, with the set arriving in May of 2024. So next month. So yippee. So are you a Star Wars fan?
Yeah.
You remember Hammerhead from the original toy line and all that stuff? It was always funny because I think Star Wars made it a point to actually highlight in toy form characters that had like
obscure
3 seconds of screen time.
But it enhanced your play. So
that's true. So Hammerhead, also known as Moma Nadon, is a character from Star Wars who first appeared in the back of Star Wars: A New Hope. He is a member of the Ithorian species and is recognized by his distinctive hammer-shaped head and elongated neck, giving him the nickname Hammerhead. The Ithorian is seen in the Mos Eisley Cantina on Tatooine upon the arrival of Luke Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi into the bar, despite his limited screen time. Mama Nobdun has become a beloved character and iconic figure from Kenner's original 3.75-inch Star Wars figure line. Hasbro is now bringing Hammerhead to the Black Series for the first time with an impressive 6-inch figure that is ready for a drink. Wonk, 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 wonk. Fans can now start to contouse or build their own Mos Eisley Cantina sequence with this figure that is priced at, not at this price. You want to take a guess?
Ooh, not at that price? Okay. $300.
Wow, no. For a 6-inch figure, $33.99.
Oh.
Yeah, I remember when action figures were like $5.
6-inch, yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. Pre-orders are on fan channel sites like Hasbro Pulse with a fall 2024 release. Woo, okay. So, I don't know. I mean, it'd be interesting now if with the 6-inch Black Series, because how detailed they are, for them to actually come out with like a Cantina playset like they did back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be interesting to see. So I would not mind that at all. So, you got anything you want to add?
Just there's a couple things. James Cameron is finally getting his passion project remake of a remake movie made. You know what movie?
The Abyss?
Nope.
Didn't know.
Fantastic Voyage.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know if you ever remember. That's old school. Like,
that is total old school science fiction.
He wants to remake it.
Wow.
And yeah, so that's coming out there. So I think that's actually pretty cool. Like it's cool. The Sims movie is coming up. Yeah, it has coming from Margot Robbie.
Sims?
Oh,
Sims. Oh,
yeah. I'm curious as to how that's even going to be portrayed onto screen.
Is it supposed to be live action or?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, she did Barbie. Now she's going to do Sims.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that being done in any format other than animation. Quite honestly, and even then, maybe it's like a series. It'd actually be interesting, like a version of Cops, but. Different characters being arrested and stuff for all the weird stuff that goes on in that game. Because there's a lot of weird stuff that goes on in that game with people nowadays.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and there's all these different mods and...
Yeah. All kinds of goofy stuff going on with that. What does Eric have to say now?
So,
oh, okay. That was old news.
So here's another one for you. A DC comic staple for decades. It's actually started out in printed form in the 1980s. The Teen Titans.
Yeah.
Have since exploded in a cultural awareness, many thanks to the various animated series, especially the zany meta Teen Titans Go. I don't know if you ever saw that. I love that one. And then, of course, there was it had its own movie spinoff, Yeah. And then there was the Titans on Max for DC. So Titans are like it. Now a big screen live action take is in the works at DC Studios. The squad, primarily comprised of sidekicks to older, more famous heroes, was created by Bob Haney, George Kasdan, and Bruno Premiani, and normally features the likes of Robin, Raven, Aqualad, and Kid Flash. It's Anna Nogueira, who is already at work on the Supergirl Women of Tomorrow script that will bring Cora Zor-El back to cinemas. Will write the screenplay.
So they're kind of missing out. Wasn't like Wonder Girl part of the Titans at one point, and Starfire?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's one of those things that they always evolve to. It's like the Justice League. It starts with these guys and then evolves over time. But
Cyborg was a big part of that.
It is coming out of James Gunn's DC Studios. So
so it should tie in with everything else. Hopefully.
Yep.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
Any release information?
No, nothing about that yet. They just have the screenplay getting written. And speaking of Star Wars earlier, Rogue, remember Rogue Squadron?
Yeah, it's back on again.
In development. Yep.
Supposedly.
Yeah.
Again, for like the 9th time. It's been in development more times than Kiss has had farewell tours. Seriously. Oh, but speaking of, Kiss recently sold their entire music catalog.
Yes.
And their likenesses.
Yep.
To Pop something or other, the ones who are doing the avatars for them.
Okay.
They sold their entire music catalog and likenesses for $300 million. Mm-hmm. So not a bad farewell paycheck for, I guess, Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley. So I guess no more of that. But Gene Simmons can always fall back on his artwork and his comic books, because he's got a number of comic books that he's doing, as well as the Kiss comic book that is part of what was that, Dynamite? Was doing a Kiss comic book.
Yeah.
So, or it was either Dynamite or what was the other one that like put Boom Studios? I can't remember which one. I think it was Dynamite though. Mm-hmm. Dynamite Entertainment was doing the Kiss comic book. So, good times for them, I guess. Lots of champagne for them.
Right.
Keeps them.
Yeah.
So I'm still waiting for Gene Simmons, per our conversation, to build that Kiss museum down here in Reno. Since he lives up in Tahoe now, so why not, Gene? Hopefully he's listening. Right. Maybe. Mm-hmm.
And then I have news of a sequel to the greatest rock and roll movie of all time is coming out.
Rocky Horror Picture Show?
Nope.
Oh.
This is Spinal Tap.
Oh, yeah. I heard about that. They're seriously making a sequel?
Yep. They're finally making it. Elton John and Paul McCartney are going to cameo.
Wow.
I'm sorry. It was a great movie.
Okay. Well, it is now time for that top of the hour break. Supposedly it's 41 degrees and clear. It's kind of like one of those myths. Bigfoot, aliens, spring. What's going on? It's cold.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, it's cold too. Like,
I know.
It's like 41, but feels like 30. And like,
I know. Tell me about it. I don't like cold. So, but anyway. There it is. There's the music. It means it's top of the hour time. It means it's time for our big interview with Mr. Dustin Ferguson. We're still looking for caller number 5. We're up to 4. So we need caller number 5, 775-515-4141. If you would like a pair of tickets to go to KaboomCon at the Carson City Community Center on September 7th. 775-515-4141. And we'll be right back with Mr. Dustin Ferguson. So don't go anywhere.
I'm Vincent Price, and you're invited to my party in the house on Haunted Hill, where so far the ghosts have murdered only 7 people. So won't you come and make it 8? You'll see human heads without bodies, mysterious pools of blood dripping from the ceiling. The walls move slowly in against you. Don't try to escape, you can't. The ghosts are waiting, so won't you join me in the house on Haunted Hill? Hurry, or you'll be late for your own funeral.
That, of course, was the original trailer for House on Haunted Hill. And no one likes bad remakes, which is why no one remembers that the horror classic 1959 Vincent Price starring House on Haunted Hill had a remake in 1999 of the same name. But now there is a new remake on the horizon. That's punny, isn't it? By our guest, award-winning and most prolific horror director in the world, Mr. Dustin Ferguson. Welcome back to Pop Culture Kaboom's radio show, sir.
Hey, thanks for having me. I always love your introductions.
Well, tell me I'm wrong on anything that I say about you.
I'm not going to deny
it. By the way, where are you up to now, by the way, with movies? How many have you made?
I think officially it's 155.
155. Getting closer.
I've slowed down a little bit this last year, but you know, I'm doing bigger things. So.
Yeah, you are, but always staying busy. For those who don't know, Dustin Ferguson is the owner and founder of SoCal Cinema Studios. and has an astounding library of films that he has written and directed. Through SoCal Cinema Studios, Dustin Ferguson has his own movie streaming channel. Some of his films have even been remade by directors in other countries. He has had a line of toys made from some of his film IPs. He has had trading cards produced from some of his film IPs, and has had video game adaptations of some of his film IPs as well. So a very broad spectrum throughout the entire pop culture universe, practically. The only thing you haven't had yet is a TV show.
I've had a couple TV shows.
Well, okay then. And he's had TV shows too. So there we have it. You've covered all of the bases. You've even had a book written about you. So that's very impressive too. I almost forgot that one. So all in all, I mean, I still say it, I said a long time ago, I think the world is finally catching up to what I've been talking about for years already. So there we are.
Oh. Well, thank you.
And you have a new movie coming out, or at least going into pre-production, and you're going to be doing a remake of the 1959 Vincent Price classic House on Haunted Hill.
Yeah.
So very excited when this was announced, because if anybody can do a remake of a movie properly or with a different take on it that would throw audiences off, it would be you.
Oh, well, thank you. What a nice thing to say.
So here's the synopsis for your version of House on Haunted Hill. On October 31st, 1978, the WXIP TV Channel 6 team investigated the infamous Hill House on live television with dire results. The broadcast was banned and never seen again until now.
I just have to have you do that for everybody.
Oh, I can do a total Grindhouse trailer version.
Yeah.
That'd be fun. So, what inspired you to want to do House on Haunted Hill?
I don't know. I guess I feel like it's the natural progression after Spider Baby. I'm kind of going through this phase of creepy old house movies. I did 2 movies, The Dark House of Mystery and Return to the Dark House of Mystery. Those were my last 2 films I did after Spider Baby. And I guess they were sort of precursors to that, experimenting and shooting movies in black and white and relying on the atmosphere and the mood and the shadows and, more PG, kind of restrained horror. Mm-hmm. And I've been eyeing the House on Haunted Hill for a while, and actually I have some connections to involve people that are connected to the original film, so that led ultimately to me deciding to want to do it.
Interesting. So, have you secured a filming location yet? Because I know that with the Dark House of Mystery, the house that you used was kind of an iconic, or was it Spider Baby? I'm getting my films confused. Where you actually filmed part of it at an actual old house that was used in a prior movie?
Yeah. So when my Spider Baby remake, what we did is the main house in the film was filmed, at the Dark House of Mystery house, which is in Santa Clarita. It's La Roca Ranch. It's Jennifer Marotti's property. We filmed both Dark House movies there, Beyond the Gates of Hell and Spider Baby. And so what we did is we filmed the main portion of the movie there, but then as a throwback, we had storyteller segments, so it was the wraparounds, and the house that he was in was the original Spider Baby house from the original movie.
Oh, wow.
So in this one, yes, it's already been announced that we have the original house on Haunted Hill in the movie.
Nice. That's going to be interesting. So how are you approaching this one? Is it a different kind of approach than your previous films, or are you kind of have a set way you're going into this?
Well, it's interesting because I have this WXIP TV Channel 6 series that started with Wrong Side of the Tracks, and then there was Runaway Nightmare, and then Asylum with the Devil, and then Don't Trick or Treat Alone. And what they are these fake after-school specials, as if they were recorded in the late 80s through the 90s on TV. So they have fake commercial breaks and bumpers, and they're degraded VHS quality, and so they're period pieces. And so this is essentially going to be almost like a prequel in a lot of ways to that, because we're setting this in 1978 as if it's on this channel. So it's going to be just presented like it's a recording of a broadcast. So it'll start out, with the promos, and then they'll go into the introduction on the show, and then they'll go to like live at Hill House, and it'll be like a host going through the house, and basically, it'll be kind of like Ghost Watch. I'm sure some of your viewers might be familiar with that, where it'll start out like they're faking out the audience. There'll be like set up things, in the house that are supposed to be spooky or whatever, but then everything kind of goes haywire, of course, and things become a little too real, and you can imagine what will happen after that.
If it's a film you're involved in, something gruesome.
Yes, definitely.
And so you're still relying a lot on practical effects with your movies, correct?
Yeah, and we're definitely going to be doing that with this one. I think that that's part of the fun of it. Like, I want to have, like, I'm going to throw back to the original a lot of, like, unique ways. Like, some of the character names are going to be, like, characters from the original, but, like, it'll be people that, like, are from the TV station or that are in the different promos. They'll have, like, the characters' names, and they'll be, like, the legend in the movie of what happened at Hill House will be, like, the plot of the original movie, how there's, like, decapitated heads that, cry at night that you can hear, and different things like that they referenced in the original film that will work in like new kind of twists in this one.
So are any of the, because you said this is kind of a prequel to the WXIP TV Channel 6 films that you've done in the past, are any of the cast members from those previous movies going to be in this one at all?
I can confirm that Brinke Stevens is going to be in this. And, of course, Jennifer Marotti is going to have a role in it. Eric Russo, who's my partner at SCS, he's, the camera guy that's going to be like the camera guy filming it. And then also Jack LePic, who is the nephew of Beverly Washburn. She was in both Spider Babies, the original and my remake. He's going to be in it. And then I also have, I can't say the names yet, but I've got some pretty big names attached that everybody probably has heard of. I've got like 4 different people, and 2 of them are directly connected to the original film. So that should be rolling out hopefully the next week or so. They have to approve their parts of the script, and then I can announce it.
Well, hopefully that comes around really quickly. Speaking of announcements, you had a big announcement just recently. You're one of 4 directors selected for the 1031 Part 4 anthology.
Yes, I'm so excited for that because it's a really good, solid anthology series. Like, there's 3 of them, obviously, already. I was brought on board in Part 3 to do, like, a fake trailer in like, the beginning of it. And I've kind of been in touch with the producer, Rocky Gray, since. And for people who don't know, Rocky Gray is the former drummer of Evanescence when they were, like, huge in the early 2000s. So now he's producing horror movies, and so this is his series. So he brought me back and hired me to do a full segment in Part 4. And we're doing one called The Witch's Curse.
Anything you can say about that, The Witch's Curse?
Yeah, and so it's kind of like Freddy Krueger. Like, it's going to start out with, like, a group of parents, back in the day that, like, burn these witches because they've been, like, mutilating the children in the neighborhood and kidnapping them and hurting them and stuff. And then we jump to, like, all this time later, sort of like a TikTok-ish contest is being held where people can go and, like, tour the house where the witches lived. And so they go there, and of course, bad things happen. They resurrect the witches, so then, bump them all off one by one.
They're resurrecting them with those TikTok trend dances, or
I know exactly. That's the real evil. And actually, it's funny though because people that have come over have noticed I've been saving a pumpkin since last October for this. And so I have this pumpkin on my porch I've had since like October, and everybody wonders why. And I've been saving it for this, so we're gonna have a legit pumpkin in my Halloween segment.
Wow! Is it still intact, or is it like rotted
Yeah, I didn't
out?
carve it, and so I've been keeping it safe on my porch, it's a display. And so I'm going to carve it right before the shoot. So because it's supposed to be like an old rotted pumpkin at the beginning, like before we see the witches getting burned. So I've been saving it just for that.
Oh, okay. Well, hopefully it's not petrified by the time you get around to filming. I mean,
Right?
It's like dehydrated.
I cut into it and just maggots fell out or something.
Or it breaks the knife when you try to cut it. That's what I'm thinking will happen. It's like totally like petrified wood or something. It's like, okay, wasn't expecting that. Give me the chainsaw. So, speaking of chainsaws, something interesting also that's going to be coming up is you have announced your first guest for Scary Saturday.
Yes, I have, Reggie Bannister.
Yeah, and if you don't know, he was in Silent Night, Deadly Night 4, Wishmaster, Bubba Hotep. Phantasm series. He was that's what I remember him from, was the Ice Cream Man from the Phantasm. That was a really good movie, by the way. I remember that one. That was like scary when I was a kid. You know, the little. I referred to, because it was about the time I was a huge Star Wars fan, because it was about the same time that Phantasm was around, pretty much. So all the little gnome type things in there, I kept referring to them as Jawas, and nobody knew what I was talking about. So
they kind of look like them, because they run around in little like hooded outfits. Yeah,
I expect one of them to go or something like that, you know. So it was really weird. So that was your big first announcement as far as guests for Scary Saturday, which used to be called Creepy's
Cropsy's Creepy
Cropsy's Creepy Con. I knew I was missing a number and name in there somewhere. So that's going on as well. So you've got your movie studio that you're doing. You got the con that you're doing. You got a bunch of movies coming up. Always busy as always. So thank you for finding time to talk to us. So you mentioned that the recent work that you did with Dark House of Mystery and Return of the Dark House of Mystery, that kind of set the stage for how you're going to approach House on Haunted Hill.
Yeah, just, like I said, taking more like a restrained approach and relying more on like the mood and atmosphere and the scares. Like I've done so many movies, I did like the CGI monsters and stuff like that, where it's very exploitive and in your face and very over the top. And so this is almost like the opposite, where I'm going, back to like an older style and trying to have a more sophisticated filmmaking. And a lot of it's just a result of people, I think, expecting me to make a certain kind of movie all the time. And this is, I guess, the point in my career where I'm trying to prove otherwise, that I do like sophisticated horror as well, and I wanted to make some, so that's what I'm trying to do, I guess.
Oh, hey, you know what? Expand your horizons, and plus, you can't be pigeonholed to what people think are expecting of you anyway, right?
Well, when you do over 150, I've done every kind of horror at this point. This is just something I haven't really tapped into yet, and I really like, so it excites me at this point in time.
So you're still not considering retiring, are you?
No, you know how that is. It goes back and forth, but no. I know that now I've surrendered to the fact that this is my life. I'm going to be making movies till the day I pass on. I'll probably, hopefully, die making a movie so I can be like my legend,
The movie was so scary it gave the director a heart attack.
No.
No?
Probably.
Hold on a second. And you're writing an autobiography.
Yeah, so I announced it a couple years ago, called Making Me. And at that point in time, I wasn't sure how to approach it. I was still kind of like on the cusp of doing a lot of bigger projects. And so I decided to wait until I did a lot of those, like Spider Baby and all of that. Now I have a little bit more perspective, and I kind of have an idea of where I'm going with the rest of my career. So I think it's a good point to start writing it. And so I announced it a couple of days ago that I was going to try and have it out by Christmas. And then that night I got contacted by a publisher that is actually interested in publishing it when I get it done.
Nice.
So it legit come out, I guess. There's fire under me to get it done. So that's good too. So I've started diving into that.
So back in the day when I first interviewed you, way back when you were still living in Nebraska, did you ever think that you would be at this point in your life?
No. Well, and I think it's one of those things when you're around someone and they're growing and you never really notice because you see them every day, and you only notice if you go away and come back and then they look different. I feel like it's the same thing with career growth. To me, I'm always at the same spot in my career because I don't really see the gradual, slow change. But I can stop now with all of the things I have done and look back with more perspective and realize now, wow, I really have come far, and I didn't realize I would have gone this far, and I feel yet I have so much further to go.
Oh, and I'm going to be glad to be along for the ride, because it's been an interesting journey watching you going from Nebraska to L.A. Back when you were only at 47 films at the time, I think, when I first talked to you.
Yeah, sounds about right.
But and then with the cons that you were doing, I think it was really cool and exciting to see when another director wanted to redo one of your films, and that was. I'm like, well, he's really making it. I mean, that's kind of like, how did that make you originally feel? I mean, when someone said, "Hey, we want to remake your film."
It's definitely an honor, because I guess, like you mentioned, I didn't really expect to ever be at that point, because here I am, I'm still doing remakes of other people's movies, and so it wasn't really something I had considered, and yeah, just to actually see that happen and have it done well, it's quite the honor, because I guess it's for the next generation. I've been doing it long enough now that there's younger fans that sort of thing would appeal to, so it's really cool.
You know what I'd like to see? I don't know if you've considered that, but I know you've had video game adaptations of some of your movies. Like the Murder Hornets was one of the last one I think that was done. Have you thought about putting them up on Steam or any other kind of a game kind of hub like that for people to be able to access?
Does that work with the Nintendo Switch?
Steam? The Steam is more like a online game hub. So if you have a PC, you can access. It's more for PC people like me.
Oh, I've heard about it. A couple people have asked me, and I really didn't know what it was. So I'll have to look into it, because I definitely want to make it more accessible. Because right now, the only one you can really play online is Murder Hornets, and I have like 5 other ones that were only on cartridges.
I know. That was funny when you released those, but yeah, I'd like to be able to access them on Steam. That'd be really cool.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to have to look into that. That'll be like one of my next little endeavors.
And didn't you have another separate little entity to SoCal Cinema Studios, and that'd be a video game division?
Exactly.
Yeah, well, there you go. So you'll have all these different little streams. So how's the streaming channel going?
Good. So, I had this Vimeo channel I've had for the last, few years. And this last year, I launched a Roku. And so I've been feeding that a lot of my stuff. I just put Return to Dark House Mystery on there yesterday. And it's doing really well, because that one is perfect for people that want to check out my stuff, because it's only $20 a year. And I'm putting movies on there every single month, all the shows, everything. So you can find anything I own practically is going on there. So I recommend a lot of people to check that out if they want to see my stuff.
Wow. And if you're only putting up a new movie once a month, and you have over 150 movies, so...
But a minimum of one a month. I mean, there's definitely some months when there's 2 or 3 I just dump on there.
Just ask really. I'll put all these up there. So any other news? I know that this is big with House on Haunted Hill. Any kind of big announcements you want to make about that?
Okay, well, so we mentioned Scary Saturday. I'm going to try and do, along with Reggie, we're organizing, a Phantasm, thing. I don't know if it's going to be, the Women of Phantasm or what necessarily we're going to call it, but it's going to be quite a few people from Phantasm, possibly Dawn, the director, is going to be involved, so we're looking into organizing that. There's also going to be probably a House Elves and Corpses reunion there, and so I'm trying to put that together, and then a Scream Queen reunion with Brink Stevens, Michelle Bauer, and Linnea Quigley. Ooh. And we're going to have vendors this year, and it's going to be $10 this year. It's just the first year we're charging admission, but it's only because we want to make sure everybody gets paid a lot of money that's involved, and we think that'll also maybe make it seem like it has some value to the people that are coming and encourage more people to show up. So that's kind of the deal with that. And then Ali Devon, I announced, is going to be putting out 18 of my titles to retailers and major streaming sites. So that's really awesome. I'm going to also be giving them Spider Baby and House on Haunted Hill when it's ready. So those will be available everywhere through them. And then I just got word today, I can't say which title, but one of the shark films I did for Wild Eye Releasing recently is finally about to come out.
Finally. Okay. When can we expect to see any kind of movement on that? Next week or?
So I know that they're working on a trailer right now. And also, speaking of that, my movie Big Bad CGI Monsters, everybody keeps asking me, and I keep forgetting to update. That's coming out June 1st, and I'm going to have a trailer out before the end of this month.
Okay. Any big premieres coming up, like the one you did for Spider Baby?
I think House on Haunted Hill is going to be my big one this year, because we're trying to aim to have it ready to premiere in October. So that'll be the big one.
Ooh, okay. Are you going to be giving away tickets for the premiere?
Yes, actually, and we should do something where we can give out tickets through your show as a prize for people or something, do some sort of contest.
Well, I do have listeners in Los Angeles and the surrounding area, so Whittier, California, for example.
Yeah, give them like VIP treatment or something.
Oh, okay. So, Eric, if you're listening still and not coding at the moment, I'd like to set something up. That'd be cool. I'd like to be there, and I'm sure Rob would too.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, you should come. That'd be awesome.
It depends on when. I mean, October 13th is my birthday, so if it's planned around there, maybe. So.
Mm-hmm.
Don't roll your eyes, Rob. Jeez.
You made his thing about you.
I got to make it about me. I mean, come on. No, I'm kidding. Tongue in cheek. It's all a tongue in cheek. So, Eric says interesting. Come on, Eric. You get a VIP for House on Haunted Hill. It'll be great.
Yeah.
And I'll talk to the station about it, and maybe Rob and I will be there too. That'll be fun.
Yeah, that'd be
Give me
great.
an excuse to use more of my Universal Studios pass.
Okay. Who's making it about who now? I mean,
Well, if you can.
and Eric says yes, he is coding. Nice, Eric. Okay. At least he's listening to the show still. Multitasking. I like it. Speaking of multitasking, so you got House on Haunted Hill pre-production. You got 2 movies in post-production. The con that's kind of being put together as we speak. And another one that's in pre-production, the 1031 Part 4 anthology that you're going to be a part of.
And we're shooting that April 30th. And I also got to throw in there the Blu-ray of Spider Baby. Everybody wants to know it's finally coming out next month from Scream Team Releasing.
Yay! So that's coming out as well. An update on big CGI monsters. You've done that. Are we forgetting anything?
Gosh, I feel like that. Oh, and then Dark House 3, I'm doing a final third installment. We're going to do that after House on Haunted Hill, and that one's going to take place in the 70s as well. It'll be like, I guess, 40 years after the timeline of parts 1 and 2, because those take place in the 1930s.
Okay, so that's a lot of stuff going on, as usual, speaking of multitasking. Wow. Speaking of House on Haunted Hill, any word on how you planned a soundtrack to go?
Well, it's one of those things that, like, probably 200 people have messaged me wanting to do music for House on Haunted Hill. So I do have one guy, Oscar Fogelstrom. He did a theme song to my movie Zombie 8, and he did the theme song to my direct-to-video documentary. He is working on the theme song for the movie right now, but I have not locked in yet who's going to be doing the actual score.
Okay. Well, if anybody's interested, they should contact you.
Yeah, no, definitely send them through Facebook. It's the best way to hit me up on Messenger.
Okay, so Dustin Ferguson or Dustin William Ferguson on the Facebook, or through SoCal Cinema Studios is the other Facebook page. How about a website?
All I have right now is my Roku. I need to get like a main website up though. I'm only one person, Jimmy.
I would never, ever
He
expect you to
has
ever
a
say
production
that.
Studio. He's just not a production team.
I'm getting old. I'm sorry.
Oh, no. The old word comes out now. Oh. He's getting slowing down, kids. Well, it's always been a pleasure to have you on the air, sir. And as always, I wish you the best with all of your ventures. And congratulations on all the success you have had to this date. And definitely we'll have you on again very, very soon to talk again for all of the updates on everything you're doing, even though you're slowing down, getting some Werther's candies.
Quote unquote slowing down,
But you're working out now, so that's always a plus.
Yes, I got it. Now that I'm old, I got to watch my health more.
All right, sir. Well, I got to take this hard break, but it was always, like I said, honor and privilege to have you on the show again, and look forward to talking to you more in the future.
Always a pleasure. Have a good night.
You too. Everybody else will be back shortly, so don't go anywhere. Okay, welcome back to Pop Culture Kaboom's radio show. Everything you want, everything you need in pop culture entertainment. So it was a about back near the beginning of February when we last reported on how things were going with Babylon 5 creator J. Michael Straczynski. Planned from the ground up reboot. Unfortunately, it wasn't the happiest of updates as JMS found himself having to push back hard on reports that the project was no longer moving forward. Taking to social media, JMS revealed that WB is contractually obligated to inform him if that was the case and reminded fans that he's always been open and honest with them when it comes to updates, along with laying out additional points that demonstrated why the reboot is still in process. JMS called out one of the reporters from their reporting on the franchise's future. JMS continued to keep his promise to keep the updates flowing. This week, JMS spoke with Inverse to support his work managing the literary estate of writer Harlan Ellison and editing the Ellison-focused greatest hits. Over the course of the conversation, the topic of the live-action future of Babylon 5 was addressed. Remember that anime that they did not so long ago. And he says, and I quote, It's just been a matter of time and obstacles. We were going to go with the CW originally, then Warner got it back. Then we were going to take it out of the market, but then the Discovery purchase happened, and that put us on ice for a while. Then, okay, that got all cleared up, and then the strike hits. After that, right as they were literally prepared to send it out the door, the rumor about a merger between Warner and Paramount happened, so finally it went out to buyers about 2 weeks ago. JMS offered in terms of the timeline that the project has lived through so far. We're waiting on word from those who have been sent the pilot script. One has said no, but the rest are all still in process. Well, there's interest from the rest of them, so we will see where it goes. I'd be kind of interested in seeing a reboot of Babylon 5. I always enjoyed that show it was kind of like the original Game of Thrones in space, if you ask me. So it was always interesting. A lot different. Neat
creatures.
Huh?
It did some neat creatures.
It did. Some interesting ones too. But so Pink Floyd has announced the winners of the Dark Side of the Moon animation competition, which coincided with the album's 50th anniversary. Wow.
Dang.
Yeah, I know. That came out 50 years ago.
Right? I'm old.
So are they. They invited a new generation of animators to create music videos for any of the album's 10 songs, with judges Nick Mason, Kyle Alba, Gerald Scariff, Sarah Smith, Daisy Jacobs, Harry Pierce, Terry Gilliam, Alan Yantob, and Anton Corbin. I don't know who any of those people are, but anyway, given that it was the 50th anniversary of the album and with the band's history of working with animation both in videos and on stage, we felt this needed to be acknowledged, said Pink Floyd's longtime creative consultant Aubrey Poe Powell. It was a huge success with over 900 films being entered, and the process of elimination for the judges was very complex. They eventually came up with the final 10, and I can only say they were brilliant choices and representative of the diverse styles of entries that all gave deep respect to the legacy of the band. Okay. 10 winners were announced by Nick Mason. However, there may be an issue with one of them. The winning video by Damien Galoom for Any Color You Like was created, according to Goom, using Stable Diffuse AI software. There was an immediate backlash and reaction against this video online, which overshadowed the other 9 winners and the planned overall winners intended to be announced tomorrow. Some condemned one of the judges, Gerald Scariff, especially as the cartoonist and animator most associated with Pink Floyd's album and movie Another Brick in the Wall, which included intricate hand-drawn animation based on his cartoons and considered a true classic. There have been thousands of comments, including the likes of, I don't understand why some musicians think stealing music for AI is bad, but somehow stealing imagery for AI is not. No thanks, PF. Using AI art feels completely inauthentical. to the ethos of the Dark Side of the Moon and Pink Floyd in general. This is really disappointing. And if there is one non-musical thing I associate with Pink Floyd, it's incredible, lovingly handmade animation. Not this putrid AI slop. What the blank were any of you thinking picking this pile of blank as one of the winners? Journalist Carolyn Hines says, holding nothing back apparently. The promotion and use of AI in creating spaces spells the end of the entertainment industry. It's capitalism, exploitation, and theft dressed up as convenient art. It's a sham. Groups like Pink Floyd legitimize people who steal art from others. Should be ashamed and shamed. Wow. Okay.
All right. Well, we know where his stance is.
Yeah. Thank you, Carolyn Hines, for that. Oh boy. So yeah. Okay. That was rather dramatic.
Right?
Wasn't expecting that.
The guy left you speechless there.
Yeah, I mean, I thought I had negative viewpoints of AI and stuff, but
right?
That one really took the cake. I mean, I never went to using expletives to do that. Eric completely disagrees with that. Okay, fair enough. DC Comics is getting its own version of the popular Marvel United tabletop game. Common announced DC Heroes United, a new tabletop game that borrows the core mechanic and distinctive chibi-inspired aesthetic of Marvel United, but featuring the heroes of the DC universe. Characters revealed for the new game include the trinity of Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, plus the Joker as the first revealed villain. A game-found crowdfunding campaign will launch this July, although a preview link is already available. Cummins' Marvel United franchise raised over $13.6 million over the course of 3 Kickstarter campaigns. Wow. Dang. Starting in 2021, with each campaign adding additional Marvel heroes and villains to the franchise. The gameplay involves heroes and villains playing cards on the collective storyline, each of which adds certain base effects that play out over multiple locations. Heroes can combine actions to do the impossible, while the villain, which can be controlled either by the game or by a player, throws down obstacles to either trigger negative effects or deal damage to heroes. The game-found preview hints that coin flips will somehow factor into the gameplay of DC Heroes United, which would be a new mechanic to the franchise. One major question surrounding the new DC Heroes United is how the heroes will be split up into different boxed sets. Cummins split the Marvel characters into 3 main lines, a general Marvel line, an X-Men line, and a multiverse line. But DC Heroes don't have the neat divisions like Marvel does. Cummins has been expanding the DC lineup of games in recent months with a Deceased game in development based on its Zombicide franchise. This is the second major DC board game released by Cummins, although the popularity of the superhero licenses almost ensures more games are on the way. I think the Joker is kind of a shoo-in for any game as a villain.
Right.
But in this case, especially with this game, I think a Poison Ivy would be an interesting kind of villainess to have in there, just because of the plant aspect and how she can control plants and everything. Although that is another Batman character.
Yeah.
Darkseid would definitely be an interesting addition to it as well. I think if they were to divide it up like they did with the X-Men and all that, if they're going to have the Trinity, Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, then they can divide it up that way. Have the Batman villains, the Superman villains and allies, and the Wonder Woman villains and allies.
Right.
I think that would make the most sense since they're already saying the Joker, which has always been primarily a Batman villain, although he has gone on to create havoc for everybody else in the DC universe. But same can be said with just about all of them. Darkseid, the New Gods in general, or any of the other ones like that. So I think it'll be interesting to see where they go with it. I think it won't be as popular as the Marvel one because DC isn't as popular as Marvel. But you never know, and it'll be interesting to see. Wizards of the Coast is expanding on the D&D video game scene with a project set outside its iconic Forgotten Realms setting. In a recent interview with GameSpot, Dan Ayub, head of digital product development at Wizards of the Coast, discusses his company's plan to invest $1 billion into AAA video games, with a focus on both existing Hasbro IP and new IP, such as Exodus. Indeed, in the interview, Abib was asked if there were plans to develop a Dungeons & Dragons video game outside of Faerun, the setting of Baldur's Gate 3, and countless other D&D video games. Yes, was his curt reply. When asked to elaborate on his answer, he said, no, he didn't. He said, obviously, you hit the nail on the head. Certainly the most popular area when you go to people wanting expressions of what they know. That's a big part of it. We're going to play around the edges a little bit as well. I can't say too much more about that than that. I didn't provide any other teases about what settings could appear in a future D&D video game, although he did note that he was a player in an Eberron campaign. While the Forgotten Realms is easily D&D's most popular campaign setting, both in the tabletop game and in other media, it's far from the only one. Wizards of the Coast has featured 6 other iconic campaign settings during its most recent 5th edition, including the space fantasy setting Spelljammer, the steampunk-inspired Eberron, the dark horror setting Ravenloft, and the classic Dragonlance campaign settings. Wizards has previously hinted and at expanding its D&D video game plans into other realms before, mentioning settings like Eberron and Dragonlance in recent investor calls, and teases as places they'd like to explore in video games. Past D&D video games have also explored outside the Forgotten Realms, perhaps most famously Planescape, Torment. However, no project set outside the Forgotten Realms has formally been announced, and Hasbro's various D&D video game licenses have all so far focused on the Forgotten Realms. Dragonlance actually would be an interesting video game. It would remind me too much of Joust, though, but...
Depending on how they go with it, you know.
I think a Joust, a modern-day Joust, or a first-person perspective of Joust would be interesting. Right?
I like Joust. I thought it was a fun game.
I did too.
Weird
It was
eggs.
frustrating. Well, you'd pounce on them and then it'd like turn into an egg, and you had to grab the egg before it hatched a new Dragon Lancer. Yeah.
And then sometimes I liked how sometimes you could go from the left screen to the right screen, like through like the hidden wall, and then sometimes you couldn't. You know, like.
I was always the one crashing into that invisible wall, going, "No!
I needed to get through there. Let me
in. What is there, a secret knock? How do I do this?" Anyway, so in a recent update to PlayStation, Sony's PlayStation Portal handheld seems to have resulted in a substantial upgrade to the platform's visuals. Earlier this week, Sony released a new firmware for the PlayStation Portal, but the official patch notes tied to this update weren't very substantial. Since that time, PS Portal users have been trying to figure out what patch 2.0.6 actually did to improve the platform.
When you have to ask,
I was like, I got to play with it to figure out what it did for my thing here. Now, after ongoing testing, it seems that Sony may have greatly improved the fidelity that games could be played with on the streaming device. Shared by numerous users on Reddit, it was said that many have found the video quality of the Gameplay Portal or GameStation Portal to be much improved following the release of Update 2.0.6. Most PS Portal users happen to attribute this to upgrades that were made in association with bitrate on the hardware. Although it's hard to know for certain if this is what Sony upgraded given the lack of detailed patch notes. Most PlayStation Portal owners seem to agree that the device has never been better after this patch. Other than this change in streaming quality, the other big alteration to the PlayStation Portal with this update seems to be tied to emulation. Specifically, it has been found that Sony patched out an exploit that would allow users to emulate games from PSP on the Portal if hacked. Although this likely isn't what most are using the PS Portal for in the first place, this tweak still shows that Sony isn't looking to have the hardware modded or jailbroken if it can help it. So, yay, I guess. All right. So I don't play the PlayStation Portal. I don't know anybody who actually does. Eric says the Underdark is a great world to play in. So that would be interesting for a D&D one. So I'm not exactly sure what I guess is like their version of I guess what Nintendo Switch where you can play it or is it specifically handheld? Do you know?
I'm not sure. Well, because I don't know. Like I know Xbox is coming out with one, but I don't know.
Okay, fair enough. All right. So I actually have some novel news.
Okay.
Kind of.
After
spending decades in the comic book industry, Xbox Game Pass. No, everybody who has Xbox pretty much has Xbox Game Pass. After spending decades in the comic book industry, co-founding Image Comics and creating characters such as Deadpool and Cable, Rob Liefeld's story is about to be told in a whole new way. On Thursday, it was announced that Liefeld will be publishing Robservations, a memoir recounting his life and career. Okay. Robservations, which shares its name with Liefeld's ongoing podcast, will feature 10 original sketches. What? As well as behind us. Okay, because he's an artist. I thought like sketches meant like, Saturday
sketches.
Night Live.
Yeah, gotcha.
As well as behind the scenes anecdotes reflecting on his career defining decisions and little known facts about the comic book industry. He's going to give that away? The memoir, which is being published by Bin Bala Publishing, is expected to debut at some point in early 2025. And here's a quote. "I have had a lifelong love affair with comic books," Liefeld said in his statement. "They have been my passion since I was 7 years old. Having been fortunate to break into the business as a teenager in the 1980s, I've seen 5 decades of tremendous change, quite a bit of upheaval, and a fair amount of rebellion and betrayal, some of which I started. It's been quite a ride, and I'm eager to share this incredible ride with everyone. Watching my creations become roles portrayed by Ryan Reynolds, Josh Brolin, Zazie Bates, Minka Kelly, and many, many, many more on the way is a crazy culmination of my comic book dreams as a kid. Over the course of my career, comic books have become a rich minefield that drives pop culture. Robservations promises to provide readers with an intimate look at his journey from a pasture son in Orange County, California, to become one of the most celebrated figures in the comic book industry. From the beginnings as a teen sensation at DC Comics to become one of the industry's most celebrated figures, Liefeld's journey has been nothing short of legendary. In the early 90s at Marvel Comics, he introduced the world to iconic characters such as Deadpool, Cable, and X-Force, catapulting sales to unprecedented heights with record-shattering single book sales of 5 million copies of X-Force #1. I did not know that. Following his groundbreaking work at Marvel, Liefeld embarked on a new chapter by co-founding Image Comics, disrupting the whole comics industry and launching the third largest comic publisher in history. This new comic book publisher allowed creators to publish material of their own creation without giving up copyrights to those characters, something that other publishers had never offered. Liefeld found success with his creation of Youngblood, Bloodstrike, and Prophet, each selling over 1 million copies on their debuts, an unheard of achievement for independent comics at the time. In 1996, Liefeld triumphantly returned to Marvel, where he revitalized iconic titles such as The Avengers and Captain America, leading to the top-selling Avengers comic in the title's history. He has remained at the top of his game since, though his fearless approach and willingness to push boundaries, he reshaped the industry's landscape, leaving an indelible legacy that continues to influence creators today. Okay. But can he draw feet? That is a question, I guess, everybody's asking nowadays, and a bad joke that needs to really go away, so I'll stop that now. Yeah. So, you got anything else to add? No?
Not at the moment.
Okay. So Cody Rhodes has beat Roman Reigns at WrestleMania.
Oh?
Yep. So, yay.
Are they doing any of like what these have like the Money in the Bank or the?
Oh, that's always an ongoing thing. It's it's one of their promotions or events that they do.
But there's always
the year.
Like each WrestleMania, though, there's always like the one big event. Do they have one this year?
I think it was The Rock. Who was he facing though?
Oh, okay. It wasn't like a big cage match or.
No, I think the Roman Reigns Cody Rhodes storyline thing was the whole thing or something. I don't know. But yeah. Eric says there's a PlayStation version of Xbox gameplay. Okay. What is this? Why are you doing this to me? Don't do that. Anyway. Yeah, so that was 6 minutes ago. Cody Rhodes finishes the story, beats Roman Reigns at WrestleMania XL.
Oh, XL? That was the name of this one?
Yeah, because, Roman numerals.
Right.
So I guess XL, extra large, is the one
well, L is 50.
I don't know.
X is 10, but usually when it's before, that means that it's the 40th one.
No idea. You got me. Roman numerals confuse me. I will never try and figure them out. No, I'm serious. So, that's just how that goes. All right. So let me see. Blue's Clues. Steve Burns on Nickelodeon Doc Horror Heartbreak. What? Okay. Last month, ID's dossiers Quiet on the Set, The Dark Side of Kids TV, pulled the curtain back on the horror stories that took place behind the scenes of a number of popular Nickelodeon shows during the Kids Network's heyday. One of these revelations came from former Drake and Josh star Drake Bell, who spoke of being repeatedly sexually abused by former Nickelodeon dialogue coach Brian Peck. In addition, producer Dan Schneider was a major focus of the piece, focusing on what those who worked with him had to share about the toxic work environment he reportedly created. Since it aired, fans who grew up with these shows have been wrestling with their emotions regarding what they've learned, even as others associated with the network went public with their personal traumatic experiences. It was around that time that Blue's Clues' Steve Burns, someone who has quickly become the Mr. Rogers for a new generation, decided to check to see how we were all collectively doing. And based on the responses, he was needed more than ever. Speaking with Today.com, Burns shared his thoughts on Quiet on the Set. Nick Jr. and Nickelodeon programming were so different. We're in New York, they're in L.A., where there's no overlap whatsoever between any of these shows. And what we were trying to do, and what we were doing, I should say, Burns revealed, I don't have any particular insight into any of that. Accusations from his dossiers. I'm coming at it much the same way anyone else, with horror and heartbreak. Okay. It's just terrible to watch it unfold. I don't know what else to say other than it's heartbreaking. All right.
A new episode actually is supposed to land today.
Oof.
Episode 5. Have you seen it?
Nope.
Oh, it's rough. It's rough.
Well, then I don't want to watch it. A big thank you to our guest, Dustin Ferguson. You can check out all things Dustin Ferguson at his studio, SoCal Cinema Studios, on the Facebook. With all guests on Pop Culture Kaboom's radio show, Pop Culture Kaboom follows and or likes them on Facebook. And as they post news about their projects, it is reposted at Pop Culture Kaboom's newsfeed. So be sure at the very least to like and follow Pop Culture Kaboom on Facebook to keep up with all of Pop Culture Kaboom's radio show's guests. Next week, Pop Culture Kaboom Radio Show will not only have for you the latest news and information from the several pillars of pop culture entertainment. Our special guest will be comic book creator at Tenebris Anima Comics, Nathan Johns. We'll be talking about all things Tenebris Anima Comics, including their current series, Godslayer. What is the Thousand Hells, and what is next for Godslayer? Tenebris Anima Comics and comic book creator Nathan Johns. Thank you all for tuning in tonight, and please continue supporting Pop Culture Kaboom by listening to Pop Culture Kaboom's radio show live every Sunday night. If you miss any part of the live show, check out Pop Culture Kaboom's podcast, produced by 97 & Now Productions, and not only get this episode, but also previous episodes and some bonus material that'll be up this week. So subscribe to Pop Culture Kaboom's podcast on your favorite podcast platform. Also give a like and a follow to Pop Culture Kaboom on Facebook for everything you want, everything you need from pop culture entertainment daily. And subscribe to Pop Culture Kaboom's YouTube channel for video interviews from events we have and will be attending. On behalf of Tony Sanfilippo of Sanfilippo's Horrible Reviews, our guest Dustin Ferguson, KNVC 95.1 FM, Rob, and I, thank you for your continued support. We will talk with you again right here live next Sunday, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Pacific Time, 9 p.m. to 12 a.m. Eastern Time, anytime during the week on Facebook and via email. Until then, be safe, stay healthy, and peace out, Wabbits.